The grandfather's luxury car drives his girlfriend to compete for the golden incense prize. A fleeing youth suddenly charges toward them. The fugitive spins past their faces like performing magic. A royal court troop blocks the path behind him. Police deploy electric devices to strike immediately. 3 electric shots leave him completely unharmed. A few basic moves are enough for him to down everyone. He uses footwork and lands on a tall rooftop. The South Korean president mobilizes the military upon hearing the news. Armored vehicles and aircraft swarm in. Helicopters quickly seal the sky. Elite forces arrive fully armed. They raise their guns at the target simultaneously. Heavy weapons can subdue even top experts, but they don't know he is the Sword Saint Ryuseum. In his past life, he risked all to save his clan's young lady. He embraced the enemy and plunged into a deep chasm. He awoke to find himself in another world. This era is 800 years ahead. He was treated as an experiment subject in a lab. He knocked out a scientist to escape. Facing soldiers, he still thinks it's an illusion. He believes everything is a mental trap. He thinks enemies stage scenes to deceive him. He assumes opponents hold mere children's toys. The president appears personally to negotiate. He almost erases the president by mistake. The encounter terrifies the president, meeting a reckless man. After long explanation, he finally understands the era. He truly was frozen 800 years and science failed to explain it. He then follows the president to the Blue House. They sit to eat and begin talking. He asks where he is staying. The president says it's a top-secret base and confirms he is in the far future. Advanced medicine enabled his recovery. In the old era, he would have died. He struggles to accept that his homeland Galilee is gone. The president places meat in his bowl to calm him. He says he can't fathom the pain but urges composure. In return for support, he wants cooperation. He signals the intelligence director to turn on the TV. Outside, citizens are in turmoil over the morning incident. Rumors of his speed and flight spread everywhere. The government announces it was stage footage, has confused, so the president explains, people can't accept someone beyond human limits like him. Many nations pursued such goals but failed disastrously. They lack the core factor. The president asks for cooperation but he coldly refuses and rises. His answer freezes the whole room. He walks out but 2 huge guards block the door. The president shifts to a cold tone, saying courtesy is over. Guards draw dart-launching stun guns and aim at him. A volley of soft pops fills the air. Toxic darts fly with doses that could drop an elephant. The president says he only wants him asleep. But the next scene shocks everyone. Pink red aura erupts, forming a thin shield around him. The mysterious protection nullifies the attack. Darts clatter to the floor, unable to pierce. Red light wraps his arms like bursting inner force. He flicks his arm and throws 2 guards into a wall, cracking it wide. The president visibly shakes but still orders pursuit. Electric batons at max power activate as 1 guard charges boldly. Over a dozen electric weapons and nearly 20 men close in. 1 man sneaks behind intending a surprise strike with a baton. He believes the electric surge will paralyze him instantly, but at that moment his body suddenly blurs. He vanishes like a shadow and reappears elsewhere. The guards panic, unable to track his movement. Despite relentless attacks, they are helpless before his superhuman speed. He calmly walks through the encirclement without striking back. Everyone is left behind as if they don't exist. The president collapses, admitting force against him is hopeless. The intelligence director suggests another plan and reports they are tracking him. The target moves invisibly, rendering surveillance useless. The command room door bursts open, breaking the heavy mood. An agent pants, reporting they've located the target, Hazan Skyline Mark, the tallest tower in the nation. He stands atop the tower, gazing at the sea of lights below. He admits this place is real, yet feels empty inside. From a helicopter, the president watches him through a monitor. He suddenly leaps off, causing widespread panic. Fragmented memories surge back at once. The fading image of the girl he failed to save dissolves. Then the old enemy's face rises in his mind. But that foe no longer exists in this era. He remembers kneeling by a snow-covered grave in winter. With no one to protect and no enemy to avenge, he questions his purpose. Past and present intertwine, tormenting his mind. He thinks he should have died long ago and this fall ends it. He loosens his body, letting the wind take him. Suddenly a bright light from a giant billboard pierces his vision. His consciousness jolts sharply back. The smiling face on the billboard is unmistakable to him. Blazing fire of vengeance erupts in his eyes. The old enemy's voice echoes like a phantom, mocking words about how he once saved that girl. He said his clan was destroyed under a red blood illusion. He declared he would crush everything. His name was Ujun. He identifies that foe as the source of all tragedy. He thought he had killed Ujun, but was wrong. Perhaps Ujun still exists in this era. A new mission rises, burning away his despair. He spreads his arms to activate his ability. Invisible force forms a wind cushion, landing him on a lower building. He turns, eyes sharp as blades. His gaze locks onto the enemy's image on the billboard. In the command room, the president is stunned to learn no body was found. The pursuit team confirms the result 3 times and reports 1 witness a student. The president presses to know what the witness said. The boy said he asked about someone named Yuzin. The name freezes the whole room. Yujin, an action film icon of South Korea, a legend who performs all his own stunts, a global star with massive influence. Even financial markets sway because of him. That is what Ryuseum heard from the student. He stopped. The boy pointed to Yujin's billboard. saying the whole country knows his face. But Ryuzium ignores the praise. Still hollow inside, the appearance matches him, but the aura is completely different. He considers it either a lookalike or true Ryujin. He demands to be taken to meet Yujin immediately. The student scoffs that meeting such a star is impossible. A chilling pressure surges from him. The lead billboard behind the boy explodes into a rain of shards. Ryuzium steps forward, threatening him to reveal Yujin's location. The boy trembles and says he has gone abroad for work. Ryuzium freezes upon learning the target has gone to the US. Specifically, he is staying at a 5-star hotel. A luxurious restaurant glows gold with clinking cutlery. Yujion plays a refined gentleman enjoying his meal. A black actor suddenly rushes in and punches Giamusi in the face. He stops, realizing he forgot his lines on set. The crew sighs in frustration as the scene fails again. Someone whispers he might be doing it on purpose for attention. Yujion smiles calmly, suggesting the colleague hit the other cheek to keep dialogue consistent. Suddenly, a chilling sound echoes from the ceiling. A massive crystal chandelier snaps loose and falls toward them. Giamusi is frozen, unable to react. Yujion lunges in and shoves him out of the death zone. The chandelier shatters, and the crew panics, shouting for status. Both are safe, but Yujion injures his hand lightly and must go to the hospital. After bandaging, he says the reflex just happened naturally and wants to donate gifts to the hospital on behalf of the crew. He apologizes for disrupting the filming schedule. The director sighs, saying continuing the shoot isn't a priority now. Yujion is surprised and asks what they will do instead. The director informs him he must return to Korea immediately. Shocking him, 9 hours later at the Blue House, the president receives Ryuzium. Amazed, he enters a top-secret site freely. He praises the new outfit on him and recalls yesterday's fright. In their earlier talk, Ryuzium asked again about cooperation. The president showed Yujin's photo and demanded full collaboration in exchange. Ryuzium is puzzled by the unfamiliar handshake gesture of this era, but he still takes the hand and agrees, asking when he can meet the man. The president says a direct meeting is hard due to distance. However, he arranged for Yujion to fly back immediately. Now Yujion is present in the Blue House lounge with his manager. Seeing him, Ryuzium silently confirms a suspicious resemblance to the foe. After greeting the president, Yujion introduces himself to Ryuzium. The president notices the bandaged arm. Yujion says it's just a minor sprain. Ryuzium cuts it, formally offering a handshake. The name Ryuzium shocks Yujion because the president told him about it. Yujion says has honored to collaborate on the promotional video. When their hands touch, Ryuzium senses a strange signal. He focuses, probing the bizarre energy, but he detects no key, completely empty like an ordinary person. The president excuses himself and leaves with a polite smile. Once the door closes, his face turns cold as he asks guards about troop deployment. Inside, Ryuzium keeps trying to sense the other's Kai but finds anomalies. Yujion anxiously asks because he looks unwell. He has no idea Ryuzium is disappointed by the false lead, but the next sentence shatters that disappointment. Yujion steps close and whispers cryptically. His voice turns serpent cold, asking why he is still alive. Ryuzium's killing intent erupts, freezing the room. While he smiles in delight, Ryuzium growls, asking if he thinks this is a joke. He reveals his true name, Ah Shen, greeting him like an old friend. Ryuzium is confused how he hides his Kui and appears in the future. Ah Shen sips tea calmly, warning that killing him now is pointless. Ryuzium replies that he has lingered here far too long. He pushes for information, but Ah Shen only gives a cold smile. Ryuzium asks directly about the young lady's whereabouts. Ah Shen laughs vaguely, refusing to give an answer. Ryuzium's patience reaches its limit. He unleashes an invisible force. Ujin is hurled away and the tea table shatters. He says he will find the answers himself. Voice icy. Ujin remains calm despite the strike. He even thinks restraining Ryuzium won't be hard. He tells him to wait, the fight won't be interrupted. He has cast an illusion so outsiders see only chatting. Then he shoots forward like an arrow. Ryuzium casually juggles a nut, saying he is an Ozian. He notes true ki can't be hidden in real combat, and this Kai doesn't belong to the foe he seeks. Yujing's face distorts, the disguise melting like wax. A cold-eyed woman, Jun and he, appears, praising his quick detection. Ryuzium freezes. She should have died in the old chaos. She teases seductively at his surprise. She says Yujing is too famous, so she used him as a shell. She only borrowed his face to finish a grand plan. She says Shell report this interesting news to him. She splits into dozens of illusions attacking from all sides. Ryuzium destroys one clone instantly, but the burst of ki makes his body sway slightly. Jun and he mocks that using power right after awakening is self-destructive, but her smile freezes when he shows no weakness. Instead, the power within him surges even stronger. He wipes out all illusions and calls her foolish for misjudging him. Knowing she's lost, she angrily dares him to finish her. Ryuzium coldly says she died in the battle long ago. He asks how she survived falling wounded into the abyss to reach the future. She says she thought she died sinking into icy waters, but woke to a completely changed world. She says even after centuries awake, she still doesn't understand, and Ujin brought her here, giving her a new life. His words shock Ryuzium. His foe arrived in the future before him. She declares absolute loyalty to Ujin. She draws a hairpin that becomes a sharp blade aiming for his eye. He swats her aside with a single sweep. He asks if she truly believes Ujin saved her and how long long she's been here. He leans in, asking when her body began to rot. She screams in terror, not understanding. His staff flashes, slicing her sleeve. Rotting flesh and black veins appear like webs. He says he smelled death rot and Yujin used forbidden arts to turn her into a pawn. Hearing this, she rages, denying her master's betrayal. Ryuzium says it's ancient forbidden magic far beyond her knowledge. He points out she wasn't important thus disguised and hidden away. His words deepen her doubt, making her tremble. Seeing the hook set, he offers hope there's still a way to extend her life. He says pure yang qi is needed to suppress the corruption and tells her to watch closely. He channels vital energy into the wound, warming the decayed flesh. Her darkened skin gradually heals before her eyes. The truth he shows shatters her loyalty completely. He withdraws his hand, giving her the right to choose. In this world, only two can save her, he or Ojin. One harmed her, one offers escape. Survival instinct drives her immediate choice. She stammers agreement and asks for orders. He instructs her to become a double agent. Guards hear a shrill scream from the room. The door bursts open as she flees in disguise. Feigning panic, she hastily grabs the president's arm. Warning of the madmen inside, he enters and freezes at the chaotic scene. Furniture is scattered, and he stands amid the wreckage. He bows apologetically and offers to compensate all damages. Junhee hides behind the president in utter shock. She can't believe he dared cause havoc before the authorities. He glances at the spilled tea, coldly lamenting the ruined tea session. At the same time, he sends her a Killingentant warning. Training memories return with his master's teachings. He was told to draw his sword only to protect life. The protected person is more important than himself. Having something to guard keeps the spirit unbroken. He wakes to a sharp antiseptic smell. Sensor wires connect him to monitoring machines. Staff report his condition fluctuated violently. He reassures them and asks progress data is complete. He nods, ending the checkup because he has a promise to keep. Inside, he admits he's begun to care for this world. Junhee waits in a luxury cafe. Seeing him late, she asks if something went wrong. He says he slipped past the president's men. He orders much food, making her frown since both are short on money. He dodges that and shifts to Ojin's true identity. He reveals Ozian belongs to the clan he must protect. He once believed Ozian died in the old catastrophe, but he survived and secretly rebelled. She thinks he hides deep secrets and warns answers will be hard to find. He asks how many time crossers exist. She says only 2. She searched but found no trace of anyone else. He wants Ozian's current location. She vaguely says abroad and warns not to seek someone now stronger than before. Before she finishes, he signals her to be silent. He snaps his gaze toward the window. Across the street, a figure lurks in the dark Oshen. He smirks, eyes showing chilling delight. He rises immediately, demanding she accept a new condition. He realizes he's been blindly led by hatred. A question of true value surfaces within him. The image of the young lady he vowed to protect reappears vividly. If all three exist in this era, that possibility may not be impossible. His master's words echo, having something to guard keeps one steadfast. That discipline becomes his unbreakable rule. His eyes blaze with resolve to find the young lady first. She asks how he begins sketching from old memory. He insists he remembers every feature, but the drawing looks childish and crude. A bright brown-haired girl hurries through Kuyaxian Street. Her friend Mindley scolds her for going alone without the manager. Though still in school, she already has many fans. Stalkers exist, and a hallway incident earlier still lingers. Dooley pretends concerned but secretly envies the attention, while the CEO calmly reassures. She says her friend's Hen River interview is trending and may bring new opportunities. Their conversation is overheard by him and Anhee through a listening device, and he is fascinated by the phone's features. He stares unblinking at the two girls. Suddenly, a terrified scream erupts. 2 suspicious men appear, blocking their path. They demand hugs and photos before their military enlistment. Seeing coaxing fail, they reveal their threats. From above, he sees danger matching an ancient memory. He recalls the young lady. Fragile like a dandelion, she held noble status yet delicate emotions. Each illness was severe, requiring his constant care, yet her spirit was unusually strong. He is certain she is the one he must guard. Before he jumps, Dooley strikes first. She swiftly takes down both perverts. Their eyes meet through the rain. He approaches, intending to cover her with his coat, but she suddenly punches his stomach hard. Caught off guard, he only thinks inwardly young lady. She looks up, coldly questioning him. She delivers another punch, thinking he's a stalker, dazing him, but her face matches the figure carved in his memory. He is shaken, suspecting she is the one he seeks. She asks how he knows her name. Hearing she is Cyan, all hope collapses. He apologizes for the mistake. She also feels guilty for misunderstanding. He barely hears anything. Hollow. Then 2 men tackle him down. Even restrained, he doesn't budge. Shocking them, Cyan explains the stalker is someone else. Once cleared up, the group prepares to leave. Her friend urges them to go due to the commotion. She still wonders about the long-haired man. After they leave, he stands silent, lamenting his tragic fate. Under the glaring sky, he and he stand before a desolate, unnamed grave. He asks again, and then he confirms this is the young lady's resting place. Fated by time, the info was verified by the highest level introduced by the president. Records say Lady Ming died on the day of the chaos. Her relics still in the grave. Each word pierces his heart, making him collapse to his knees. His choked scream bursts as memories flood and he remembers falling with Ah Shen and the foe's triumphant smile. His sacrifice ended up meaningless. The young lady's image appears gentle yet heartbreaking. He tortures himself, blaming failure, punching the ground until bleeding. He grits his teeth, hating himself for surviving to witness tragedy. His fury is so intense birds scatter and he watches coldly. She concludes the young lady is truly dead, so what is that look-alike girl? Elsewhere, Dooley cheerfully enters a shabby office. Singing energetically, she's surprised the office is empty like abandoned. On the sofa sits a hooded man grumbling. She insists she won't leave the company as its only employee, teasing if he got kicked out again. Seal in the tiny agency lazily tells her to cook noodles. She refuses, stressing she's their exclusive diamond artist without even a fan book. He gets up complaining she talks too much, then invites her to eat. She asks for news and mentions her interview video is trending with many inquiries. He says wait, people are still fixated on some superhuman incident. She scolds him for avoiding effort, saying applying to school might be faster since teachers rated her highly. His phone rings, he instantly switches to a respectful tone. After hanging up, he beams they have a film meeting with XD Studio. Dooley's eyes light up as she shouts it's a huge production company and a precious chance. At night, Dooley pushes into a small bar in a dark alley. Inside smells of medicinal liquor, confusing her about an interview here. She reassures herself a big company must be fine and steps into the dim space. The back door slams as a man calls her into a dim room. A white-haired man with ringed fingers pours her a glass of water. He eyes her head to toe and flatters her smoothly. She grips her bag, sensing danger. He sweet-talks that this is just a friendly meeting. She forces a professional smile to stay calm. He rises, placing a hand on her shoulder. Breathing heavily, she freezes, realizing his filthy intent. His hand starts sliding down. She erupts, slapping his hand away and shouting back, but dizziness hits instantly and her vision blurs. The two men toast smugly, mocking the drugging. She trembles, pointing at the water, realizing she was poisoned. The white-haired man laughs, bragging about spiking the water. He mocks Yelin, saying he's probably thrilled with the new script. They plan to use her acting dream to trap her. The black-haired man's phone rings. He answers quickly. He reports to his boss that everything is going smoothly. Meanwhile, he is drowning in endless memories. The pure young lady's image appears, leaving only vengeance in him. He whispers hell destroy everything tied to Ah Shen and vanish with her. Thick black coils up, engulfing him, and he appears, pulling him back to reality. He coldly notes she's received enough Kia. She brings news when he hears it's not about Ah Shen. He wants her gone. She says it concerns the girl identical to the young lady but amnesiac. She says she researched ancient texts and found a secret. The girl Minduli is of the Min clan, same bloodline as the young lady. He trembles, and he affirms she carries his master's bloodline. She adds the girl is in danger. He coldly denies any connection. Meanwhile, Dooley collapses, the men preparing to strike, and he pretends to leave, hinting she knows the place. Inwardly, she knows he isn't as heartless as he claims. Outside lies a small paper crane with an address. He sits in darkness, picking up the slip. Memories of the young lady return, her stern yet worried face. She scolded him for not standing firm, calling him a disaster. She stood small before her wedding palanquin. Her determined eyes demanded he always wait for her. Mindula's eyes match hers frighteningly. He looks at a crushed newspaper showing Ah Shen. He forces himself to remember the girl is not the young lady. She is just a stranger unrelated to him. He insists she surely has other protectors. Past his office, a scholarly young man comes to interview for a manager post. The young CO reviews his file and hires him, starting tomorrow. Baisu rejoices, told his the company's only staff now. The CO says he prepared a surprise for Dooley and calls her. The white-haired man returns to chaos and shouts angrily. His underling says she broke his face and fears police trouble. The partner reassures her drug state means she can't get far. Dooley drags herself forward, clinging to the wall to stay upright. Her head spun and she regretted losing her phone. She struggled down the endless hallway as their steps closed in. She reached for the door but couldn't open it in time. Two men rushed toward her. They caught her and mocked her escape attempt. The white-haired man stared at her with a filthy, bored look. He sneered at her endurance despite the drug. He suddenly froze as the ground trembled. He confirmed the quake was real. The shaking worsened, lights died, and darkness filled the hall. A figure appeared behind them. Even in her daze, Dooley sensed it. It was Liuxium. Minutes earlier he had stood still, wondering why he cared. He decided it was simply right to act and coldly ordered them to release her. The two men spun around. Startled by the stranger, he lifted one man and slammed him down, caught Dooley, and repeated the order through clenched anger. Inside, he still questioned why he was so furious. One man panicked and fled. He couldn't believe how easily the stranger tossed a person. He jumped into a car to escape, but Liuxium was already blocking the hood. He held the revving car in place with one leg. He concluded the man was unfit to cooperate. He issued a lethal threat. A force pushed the car sliding away. He demanded the truth about the poison and the antidote. The man stammered that it was only a temporary sedative. Liuxium crushed his right hand with a stomp. Lying men, his life was forfeit and had been cast aside. The shop door burst open as cold black-clad agents entered. Their emotionless leader declared they were Anning Sears and ordered withdrawal. Liuxium prepared to leave with unconscious Dooley. The leader stopped him, stating they would take the girl. Liuxium turned back, eyes sharp, asking who they were. The leader demanded he surrender her and threatened force. Tension thickened in the air. Liuzum smirked. Refusing to back down, his memories of meeting Duoli resurfaced, recalling a young lady's silhouette. A sense of duty surged, and he held her tighter. He raised his head and declared he was responsible for her. Elsewhere, the black-haired man apologized on a call. A deep voice scolded him, asking if the bodyguards had arrived. It turned out the black-clad group were hired Sears protectors. The guardian information about the girl made the employer fall silent. Previous checks showed Manorlu had no guardian. At the shop, the guards demanded his id. Liuzum told them to show theirs first. He saw danger in their eyes and refused to hand over an unconscious girl. A guard roared and attacked. He only saw a blur before being knocked out. The leader angrily ordered a full assault. They rushed in, but Liuzum, still holding Duoli, moved like a phantom. He used kicks and sweeps to drop them cleanly. Cracking impacts echoed chaotically. His face stayed calm like still wind. A rough warning sounded from behind him. The leader shed his coat, preparing for real combat. Duoli stirred. Slowly waking, she realized she was in a stranger's arms amid chaos and asked why he was there. Lu bent down and asked if she knew who surrounded them. Duoli stared in confusion at the unfamiliar group. As she woke, a dark red aura rose from Liuzum, and he told her to close her eyes. The leader sensed danger, ordered an attack, and demanded they seize the girl. Before they could react, Liuzum split his stance and blasted the whole squad away. In the silence, he asked where he should set her down. Duoli grew confused, mind blank, wondering what he truly was. Liuzum brought her back to the company office. Seo paced anxiously and froze after hearing the story. He blamed himself for trusting a big company and letting her go alone. Duoli was puzzled by his intense reaction. The CEO slammed the door, vowing revenge at any cost. He yanked it open again, determined to expose their crimes. Duoli reminded him they were too weak to fight such a large force. She advised him not to start a pointless confrontation. She smiled firmly, saying to wait until they were stronger to get revenge. The CEO admitted she was wiser and sharper than him. When asked how to repay him, Liuzum only requested another sweet coffee. Duoli took the chance to praise his amazing combat and said he fit the manager role. She noted he had called the wrong name and guessed it was someone important. Her words sparked a new idea in the CEO's mind. He studied Liuzum and formed a bold plan. Liuzum flatly said he was unemployed. The CEO excitedly proposed he become an artist manager. Duoli froze, recalling their talk about the major film project. A friend congratulated her, while Duoli felt insecure and asked for tips to get the role before a short-haired girl mocked them. The CEO's manager stepped in just in time to stop the insults. She threatened to sue if they continued slandering. The trio fled in fear, making Duoli realize a manager's worth. Manager Yun stressed that a manager must be the most trusted person in an artist's life. Duoli began considering whom she could truly trust. The imposing image of Liuzum appeared in her mind, making her hesitate. When Annie arrived late, she grumbled, then was shocked when Liuzum asked about the manager profession. She explained the job handled everything and served as the artist's shield. Liuzum announced he would manage Mindali, and that he had discovered something abnormal. He said the group that fought him possessed energy that should have gone extinct in modern times. Annie panicked since that contradicted claims that inner energy had vanished, then got annoyed when Liuzum implied she'd been fooled. Liuzum recalled Ozian saying the new world had lost ancient power and was ruled by science. Liuzum stated inner energy was no longer needed, then questioned how Annie still existed. He noted her aura was unusual, so no conclusion could yet be made. The urgent task was to track the group that attacked Duoli. After speaking, he dropped down from the rooftop. With cold eyes, he vowed to crush all of Ujin's schemes. At Anjin High School's front gate, two students gawked at the line of luxury supercars. Anjin School was prestigious, like a mini university that produced many celebrities. Duoli chose it, admitting she was a lucky exception. Upon entering the yard, she was blocked and mocked by three girls. They blamed her for standing in the wrong spot. The CEO rushed over to help her up. One girl jeered that the CEO was showing off for a poor kid. Duoli angrily retorted. A tall male student stepped in with a threatening warning. Duoli and the CEO left while the Soyoung group plotted harsher teasing. Oh Jin-guk interrupted to ask about the rumor of a new student. The bell rang, and the teacher entered to announce the transfer student. The class buzzed with guesses about looks and background. The door slid open as the new student appeared. Duoli was stunned speechless. It was Liuzum, who calmly signaled for silence. The day before, he met the president to request permission to attend school. The president complained about the strange request and asked why. Liuzum dodged the question, saying surely the president could handle such a small matter. So the president placed him in Unzin according to his estimated age. Students crowded around, praising his long hair and asking if he wanted to be famous. They admired his looks but wondered why he stayed silent. Oh Jin-guk pushed through to break up the crowd. He sat opposite and introduced himself. He asked what training produced such a physique. Liuzum calmly replied that this body was honed by cutting people down. Oh Jin-guk burst into laughter, while the nerd went pale, recalling Liuzum's rampage the day before. That boy had witnessed him tear down the Yujin poster. Thinking of sharing a class with such a dangerous person, he trembled in despair. Through the window, Duoli signaled for him. Alone with him, she put her hands on her hips and asked why he hid the school transfer. Remembering the president's warning, he only said he was a special case and served as both manager and bodyguard. He assured her he would protect her completely per their pact. the memory of carrying her that night returned, reminding him of his days as a royal guard. He sensed a sinister aura drifting around her, so he had to stay close. Duoli blushed and told him not to act her manager at school to avoid rumors. She muttered that she wasn't even truly famous. When she looked up, he had vanished, making her stomp in frustration. In class, the bespectacled class rep was forced by Aojin Guk to hand over all funds. He threatened that the budget belonged to their gang. Even after falling, the class rep insisted the money would only end up in Guk's pocket. Guk punched him hard, making him choke. He grabbed his collar, warning that everyone knew the deal. In the hallway, Liuzum frowned. Sensing a strange aura, a small burst of energy flashed and vanished instantly. He asked the skinny boy, learning Guk was extorting the class with violence. The whole school was ruled by Guk through strength and money. Just then Guk and his gang stepped out. As they passed, Liuzum remarked he was unbelievably weak. They froze, furious, asking who he meant. The hallway fell silent. All eyes on Liuzum. He coldly said he hadn't meant to offend. Guk stepped close, saying he must be trying to climb ranks, and dared him to strike first since he had nothing to lose. Liuzum met his gaze and sincerely asked if he wanted to die. Aojin Guk roared and swung a punch at his face, but the blow was stopped by the teacher's shout. Seeing Guk's face, the teacher softened immediately and told him to stop. Guk snorted and lowered his fist. Before leaving, he threatened to teach the transfer student. Liuzum thought he had nearly gotten into a pointless fight. At lunch, the cafeteria fell silent, all because Liuzum entered carrying his tray. Students dragged their chairs away as if avoiding a plague. A wide isolation zone formed around him. The skinny boy from earlier timidly asked to sit with him. Liuzum asked why the boy said he was now on the blacklist. Crossing Guk meant turning school life into a nightmare. To avoid trouble, everyone had to avoid him. The boy whispered, asking if he was a superhuman from some distant planet. Before he could answer, the teacher called him out. The teacher cautiously asked how he felt about the school. Liuzum said the teachers were mediocre, then told Annie he had found someone using inner energy. Annie panicked and asked for the identity. He said he hadn't confirmed it but had narrowed the suspects. He tried to force a reveal but failed due to restrictions. Even so, the existence of energy in this world had now been proven. Meanwhile, Junho was punished for eating with Liuzum, and Guk forced him to strip. Trembling, he tapped Guk's arm lightly per the gang's rules. Friends laughed, saying it was just entertainment. The lackeys reminded him the rule demanded stripping. They mocked Junho for openly interacting with Liuzum. They jeered that he'd end up completely stripped anyway. As Junho was about to pull his pants down, the class rep grabbed his arm and demanded they stop this nonsense. He recalled duelists scolding and felt ashamed for ever wanting to give up. Guk clenched his fists, admitting he had endured too long just to leave school peacefully, but now he refused to tolerate it anymore. He shouted in Guk's face, rejecting submission. The class rep punched Guk in the stomach, crossing his limit, but the punch was stopped midair by Liuzum. Liuzum coldly mocked Guk for calling himself king while acting so crude. Guk's gang snapped, rushing to beat him. He recalled the president's warning to avoid trouble, so he stood still as they charged. He remembered asking Junho about making friends and the boy's sincere answer. Junho simply couldn't ignore the weak. A lackey swung but broke his own arm on impact. A loud crack sounded, followed by his scream. Ryu dropped him with one hand. He asked if they really thought he was so weak he had to endure childish tricks. The gang froze, wondering who he was. He had taken down two of them in an instant. Liuzum stared at Guk, urging him to show his strongest power. Terrified but cornered, Guk charged. With a single flick, Liuzum knocked him out. Guk collapsed with a huge lump on his head. Liuzum walked past him casually. He stopped before the class rep, saying he was hiding real strength. Guk narrowed his eyes and denied it. The class buzzed about Guk's background and Liuzum's reckless act dually appeared. Stunned by the scene, she realized everything had been caused by Liuzum, but she did understand what he was saying to the class rep. When she stepped in, Liuzum just looked at her and quietly left. He left behind a classroom in total confusion. In the hall, Duoli hurried while Seo struck up conversation. She was amazed someone her age could have such a mature aura. He had crushed Guk's reputation and calmed the school. In the infirmary, Guk fumed as he was treated. He called the homeroom teacher to retaliate. Back in class, Siyun noted Liuzum's unusually strong presence. She hesitated about befriending him, confusing Duoli since the CO hadn't recognized his own manager. She pulled the CO aside and revealed the truth, leaving him stunned about the secret manager. The CO promised to stay quiet and worried about their student-level experience. Duoli assured him they'd improve together. Siyun cheerfully agreed, saying the student seemed more reliable than the old manager. In the staff room, Chi Rai sat brooding over his talk with the class rep. He had asked directly how long the boy had used inner energy, but Manhwa only looked puzzled as if he didn't understand. That made Chi Rai even more suspicious. The energy he sensed during their contact felt strangely familiar. The more he thought, the deeper his frown grew. The homeroom teacher's shout snapped him back. The teacher scolded him and ordered him to call his guardian. At that moment, the National Intelligence Director arrived with two aides. The teacher froze at the guardian's status. The director coldly criticized the teacher's incompetence. He reassured him, then took Rai away to meet Jun Aini in a secluded place. She handed him the file on the student using inner energy. He skimmed it and asked for more details. Jun Aini said the boy was diligent, discreet, and deeply attached to the school. Rai asked about his family, suspecting the source of his power. She said Mun Jae-jae was an orphan living only with his older brother. Rai grew worried as things became complicated. He wondered if the class rep was connected to Ujin. Ujin had said inner energy was fading, which seemed true. He had searched but still couldn't uncover their hidden secret. In a poor apartment block, Min Jae-duch returned home. His brother was hanging laundry and asked about school. Min Jae-jae said he met someone with the same power who instantly crushed Ajin's underlings. He added that the person knew his ability, but he pretended to be clueless. His brother calmly asked what the person looked like. He pulled out his phone and coldly vowed to handle the threat himself. Rumors spread through school like wildfire about the new student's uproar. People whispered he had reclaimed all the money Din Ji stole and returned it. Everyone was shocked Jin Ji still dared show up after losing face. The CO asked Dooley whether Region had become the school's ruler, while students praised Kind Jun-ho, amazed at his first day feat, but Liuzium didn't care and immediately shifted topics. He looked toward Min Ji sweeping the yard and asked about trash sorting. At the trash area, Menjo mocked him and teased his cluelessness. Without looking, Min Jae-chi still sensed Liuzium's stare and asked if there was more. His alertness spiked, thinking the other wanted to approach with intent. Liuzium said he'd figure it out and stepped closer when only the two remained. Making Min-ji tense, a hand suddenly landed on his shoulder. His battle instinct flared, and his inner energy began to stir, but Midori appeared, interrupting. Both turned around startled, while Midori suspected them due to strange wind and shady behavior. Min Jae-jae hastily claimed he was teaching trash sorting. Duoli doubted, but they denied fighting. She teased that two members of a special club should be friends to avoid loneliness. Min Jae-jae was struck speechless by the idea, while Liuzium merely glanced at him. At dusk, Seom stood by the window asking if everyone had arrived. Min-alai sat grumpily on the sofa. Liuzium placed a coat over her legs and asked why they were summoned. Seom hinted the long-awaited day had come, making Duoli guess the plan had succeeded, but his face darkened, eye bags deep, shocking Duoli. Seom collapsed onto the couch, pleading with her to play a supporting role in a web drama and telling the manager to drive. He tossed the keys to Liuzium. Liuzium stared at the tiny metal object, doubting he could operate a car, thinking he was being mocked. The CEO got angry, and Duoli had to explain he was just a student. Liuzium still flipped the keys curiously. Duoli added he even attended the same school, startling the CEO who scolded them for not informing him. He felt helpless with the packed schedule and no solutions. Looking at his bank card bitterly, he decided they needed to save money. Later on a night bus, Liuzium asked if saving money meant using this transport. Duoli, munching bread, felt embarrassed by the question. She teased that he ate 5 of her breads and still complained, then said she and Min Jae-jae were both special case students, most had been bullied into dropping out. She said Mun Jae was resilient, likely influenced by his brother working in security. She wondered why he asked so much about Mun Jae instead of learning about her. Seeing him leaning with eyes closed, she complained he was pretending to sleep, but the word security echoed in his mind, unsettling him. On set, calls to prep the cameras echoed amid the bustle. Liuzium, carrying a heavy pack, asked Duoli why she didn't want him with her. She said he stood out too much and caused trouble. He asked if she found him annoying, and she gave a vague reply. She told him to get in the van, rest, and stay quiet, sitting on the soft seat. Liuzium sank into thought. He quietly wondered if the earlier group had lied about security matters. Someone questioned whether the brother had another name. His thoughts were cut off by a stranger mocking his high school age. Black-clad men surrounded the bus with menace. Their leader recalled old grudges and provoked him. Despite the pressure, Liuzium calmly answered their demand. He asked who their real target was. Without waiting, he jumped to the key question. He pressed them about blocking a transport truck. Hearing that, one man screamed. They told him to sit there and take the beating. The enemy's strike was lightly blocked, stunning the attacker. The man growled that Liuzium's strength was still weak. He tightened his grip on Liuzium's hand to overpower him. He dared him to withstand his strongest blow. His men whispered anxiously about the risk. He prepared to counter but never got the chance. Liuzium landed a thunderous punch that felled him. He calmly noted vehicles had useful items too. Had used a small fire extinguisher instead of bare fists. Lin's men stripped off jackets, flexing to look fierce as they charged. Liuzium saw their inner energy flicker briefly, then struck instantly. To avoid trouble for the girl, he dropped them like he had beaming GX. Compared to ancient Ki, this energy was a poor imitation. Soon the whole gang lay scattered unconscious. It was over except for one special opponent. He opened the bus door and stepped out. Not far away, BXE Hen checked his watch, annoyed at losing over a minute. After subtracting the time wasted on the door, he had 57 seconds left. Scolded his men, then questioned Ryujin about the two brothers' similarities and differences. He asked again, not understanding. Liuzium coldly said he knew the man's younger brother well. Hearing Min Gae's name, BG Hen's smile vanished. He tore a signpost free and swung it at Liuzium. Roaring what he was, Liuzium blocked it effortlessly. Curious, he yanked the post back, saying he also wanted to know about him. He slammed the post down, cracking the concrete. They moved to a barren lot under yellow lights to talk properly. Bixi Hen vanished and attacked after declaring the winner would learn the truth, but Ryujin caught it one-handed. Seeing him react to his speed, BG Hun panicked and switched to a spiral kick, but it was dodged. A falling leaf was sliced in half by Liuzium's casual swipe. He was terrified the opponent saw through everything and might be stronger than him. Pride drove him to scream and launch a chain of attacks. His eyes blazed, a white tiger spirit flaring behind him. Liuzium paused at the sight of that fist. Rihan shot forward like an arrow. The punch carried the might of a spirit tiger. The ground beneath him cracked in a long line. He slipped behind Liuzium in an instant. A hook punch came from a blind angle. Liuzium dodged, and the blow split a thick tree trunk in two. Ji-hen didn't let him breathe, attacking wildly like a predator. His eyes blazed as he roared and launched the finishing blow. Before it landed, Liuzium's figure vanished like smoke. Stunned, Ji-hen called out. Liuzium's distant voice echoed, asking what he understood about that technique. He spun in panic, realizing he hadn't mastered his own skill. Silence fell as an invisible pressure weighed on his back. A metallic spectral tiger slowly formed behind him. Liuzium murmured that true inherited Kai never flaunted itself like that. Though the technique was similar, his own energy was deeper and overwhelming. He unleashed a softly glowing yet lethal punch. Jian saw only light before being blasted away. The technique's level far surpassed what he knew. This was the original form. That thought was his last before fainting. Even in victory, Liuzium stood still, treating it as only the prelude. After filming, Dule eyed a sleek black sedan. Wondering why they weren't taking the bus, Liuzium leaned on it, saying they'd been offered a ride and invited her to dinner. She wondered how he earned such respect. In the small apartment of the Menjishi brothers, Bixi Han lay unconscious on the bed. He jolted awake. Ryujin said had carried him back, and luckily the younger brother hadn't seen. Ji-hen looked at him, pride gone, asking what answer he wanted. Liuzium said had checked a few things while he was out. He concluded the man's body was just a shell incapable of natural ki flow. Opening the fridge, he said that was why it puzzled him how someone without a base could use martial Kai. The word defective made Ji-hen flinch. Fear surfacing. Liuzium said he understood the secret he hid despite the altered form. He recognized the drug's nature. Bixi Hen paled, terrified it was the corporation's top secret. Liuzium cut him off, saying the drug implanted artificial Kai, then used water to illustrate the chaotic flow inside them. Crude as it was, the tech explained everything happening. He picked up a childhood photo of the brothers, realizing Ji-hen didn't know the drug's deadly side effects. Ji-hen snapped and grabbed his collar, demanding the truth. Liuzium stood still, stating clearly that any mistaken absorption or overuse would cost him his life. Bixi Hen froze, hand trembling as it clutched Liuzium's shirt. He forced a tough front, doubting manipulation and refusing to believe anyone could risk releasing Kai like that. Liuzium's gaze sharpened, Aura pressing him back as he warned him to stay away from whoever supplied the drug. A violent surge of force swept in, freezing the room's air. Both felt the pressure and shuddered. Zihan asked what had just happened. Primal fear crushed him as he imagined the owner of that power. Outside, reporters packed the street with flashing lights. The crowd erupted as Yujin reappeared. Jun-en-hai bowed respectfully and answered his small talk. She said she was just adjusting to work. A cold no froze time itself. Reporters halted mid-action. Passersby stood like wax statues. Only he and she were unaffected. Yujin's smile vanished, his gaze stabbing into her like ice. He suddenly grabbed her throat and lifted her. A lethal green aura spread from him across the area. He demanded to know why she was still alive, and she realized he had discovered her secret. Jun-en-hai trembles but obeys, taking off her coat, revealing her wounded arm. She tries to act normal. Inside, she panics that he sensed the lingering inertia in her. He sees the slowly healing wound and sighs with pity. His hand lifts toward her face, making her think it's the end. Instead, warm energy gently heals her completely. She freezes, eyes wide in shock. He says she's stronger than he thought and asks her not to be upset. He puts her coat back on, affirming he never intended to abandon a subordinate. Jun-en-hai trembles at this terrifying gentleness, worse than torture. On an old rooftop, Baizian smokes, feeling dazed and confused. Ryuzum's words keep echoing in his mind. That drug could kill, explaining all past mysteries. He wonders if the organization hid the truth and whether to trust Ryuzum. A familiar voice sounds behind him. Saihin crushes his cigarette and tries to greet his brother despite inner turmoil. While brushing his teeth, Menga calls Al's out. He asks why his brother looked at him oddly. Saihin diverts and orders him to stop using the tubes. Minguk asks why in surprise. He explains the company is auditing and the drug is only for official staff. Has relieved his brother is fine but knows the boy must stop risking himself. Saihin watches him, heart heavy. Suddenly Minguk's nose bleeds, and he wonders why. Siam panics and questions his condition. Minguk calmly says it's normal for students. In a luxurious room, Chazen sips wine while stroking a white Persian cat. He mentions the new drug tubes just released. He hopes everyone adapts well based on that young man's case. He praises the boy's extraordinary physique. Ainsis replies modestly and asks about distribution progress. Sales are surging and the intermediary network expanding. The drug is praised for first dose effects, even called a power vitamin. He continues petting the cat, saying all is smooth except one matter. He brings up Seihan about the earlier incident. The man hesitates. He recalls the clash with Ryuzum. Seihan says it's handled but wants to postpone it internally. At Yeonjin High School, A student asks why someone keeps following him. Munguk irritably confronts Ryuzum. Ryuzum says just heading the same way. He still senses no energy from the boy, so can't confirm anything. Standing in the hallway, he looks down at the courtyard. Jin-guk is grabbing Junho's collar. He mocks that even with Ryuzum, Junho's life won't change. He jeers at the boy's hope for a happy life. He raises his foot to crush Junho's remaining pride. A shout stops him enough. Dooley appears, hands on hips, declaring she is not Ryuzum. The delinquent eyes her and angrily asks what it has to do with her. She says this level of bullying is too much and orders him to stop. He roars and swings to slap her face. Ryuzum appears like a shadow, asking if he wants to try, making the thug pale. He curses, withdraws his hand, and drags his gang away in panic. The crowd disperses. Dooley scolds him for being late, mildly annoyed. Late? Ryuzum wonders. Eyes turning distant, he realizes strange trouble always clings to the girl. Now knowing the drug's secret, his search is attracting misfortune. Protecting her stirs painful memories of fallen comrades he wants to avoid. Dooley helps Junho up. He winces and asks what happened. She warns that Jin-guk will beat him even more brutally if he can't control himself. Ryuzum cuts it, saying there's a way to bring the bully down, not with violence but with humiliation, and Junho must win by himself. Both kids stare, stunned. Ryuzum confirms that's the choice. He asks if the boy dares, promising power, and if lacking teammates, he'll create them. He touches Junho's forehead, sending warm golden kai into every cell. The boy remembers primary school, when his size kept bullies away. Seeing a chubby friend beaten, he stepped in to help. The thug sneered and picked a fight, and he dove into his first battle. Everyone knew, and his life stayed peaceful afterward, until the day he was defeated by himself. He thought it was just minor pain, but it was already too late. He felt completely outmatched. Every strike useless, as if crushed with no breath left. Fear locked his body, leaving him helpless. Jin-guk beat and humiliated him without mercy. He finds it absurd to think it was coincidence, and from that day his height stopped growing. Dooley anxiously asks if he fainted. Ryuzum explains he sealed his acupoint. Junho asks, like those wuxia pressure points, making Ryuzum freeze. Dooley drags the talk back, saying hitting the right point to unlock full strength sounds absurd. Ryuzum adds one could even fight 100, making Dooley doubt though is serious. Junho's lips tremble in disbelief, leading Dooley to assume is unsure. Seeing his frightened face, she sighs because he believed it instantly. Night falls in a transition scene. Dooley asks why he has to walk her home, but Ryuzum wants to see her enter safely. She asks where he lives. He says near, then changes to far, telling her to follow. The park. It's his first time eating ice cream, shocking her. Eating, he nods, finding the sweetness interesting. She suspects is hiding something. Joking he seems like a time traveler. She says even the way he talks is strange. With half the ice cream left, she suddenly recalls something. She tries to mention it but gets shy and trails off. A voice calls from behind. An elderly lady warns them not to sit outside late because it's dangerous, but when Ryuzum turns, she falls back in fright. Dooley rushes to help as the lady scolds him for his long hair. Even Dooley adds a jab, leaving him stunned. He glances at the bag she holds. Suddenly he demands to see inside. Thinking it's robbery, she yells for him to let go. Dooley quickly pulls him back, telling him to snap out of it. He apologizes repeatedly. The terrified lady clutches her bag and runs off, leaving them speechless. Dooley asks why he acted so strangely. He grows stern, saying the bag held something dangerous. Clutching the item he retrieved, he realizes how far it has spread. Cut to Junho, who begins to feel hope. He still wonders if he truly gained power, and asks himself whether he can face his bully. Seeing the height mark unchanged, has disappointed. Uselessness creeps in again, calling himself weak. The next morning, Dooley is enjoying the view when a familiar voice speaks. He appears before her, shocking her. She never expected Ryuzum to follow her advice. She asks if he tied his hair because of her words. He awkwardly says it's because of the heat, making her laugh at his discreet pride. He says he chose this empty spot to observe the class across, confusing her. She asks if he really wants to watch Junho act, and he nods. He says trouble only happens when he's gone and called her because Shed intervened. He looks toward the classroom and tells her to watch together. Inside, the usual bullying repeats with Jinan leading. He forces the Vic to pick up sandals like a dog to get his phone back. The class whispers that with Ryuzum absent, is unchecked, all fearing he might hear. Ryuzum asks Dooley what she thinks Junho will do. She says even if he believes him, changing instantly is hard and the boy likely can't. In class, Jinan keeps coursing and brings up past incidents. Ryuzum says he thinks very differently. Suddenly Jinan's sandal flies. It almost hits his face. He looks toward the door. The thrower is Junho, loudly demanding his phone back. Jinan rages, trying to charge, but his gang lets him handle it. He approaches, asking if Ryuzum backs him or if he's gone mad. Junho is scared but says he wants to end this. He reminds himself not to tremble. He's decided. He clenches his fist, declaring hell end everything. His eyes ignite with resolve to shatter the bully's world. Dooley watches shocked as the crowd gathers. As they're about to clash, she asks worriedly if this is okay. Ryuzum answers no, his acupoint skill is still weak. Junho is punched down, and Jinan laughs, but he gets up and charges again. His sidestepped and hit in the ribs. His face twists as he wonders why he keeps taking hits. A lackey jokes Jinan hits hard enough to knock teeth out. Junho keeps asking why he can't counter, thinking maybe he got no power. Jinin yanks him up, threatening it's far from over, while Juno glances at Ryuzum in doubt. The old fight spot with Jinin is recalled. Hone swings to threaten Addy with mockery. Dongho berates himself as an idiot. Minjuali angrily calls out the liar before Dianha. He says fear and courage share the same emotional root. Juno suddenly rams the bull's chin to break his confidence. She will reach true courage through inner faith. After the exchange, Moon Junho wins. He drops the opponent with a decisive strike. Classmates say he won by lucky chinet. Juno challenges again, asking who's next. Jin is kicked in the face, and Jinin charges fiercely. The blow sends him sprawling. Jinin kicks Hone as Hone's buddy begs him to stop. He snaps that the opponent is blindly stubborn. Junho, bruised purple, still forces himself up. He yells not to underestimate him and rushes in. Dinin floors him with a single elbow. He recalls middle school in the boy's memory. He mocks his silent lifestyle while beating him. The hit silences the once bullied chubby boy. Jinin's assault drags on relentlessly. Ryujum rushes in to grab his arm, saying Junho isn't ready. Din jerks his head, shouting wildly. Juno snaps that the acupoint skill is a scam. It feels strange. Dinin jerks Junho's hand, saying his own pain is above normal. Junho realizes there's always a door to change fate. He starts breaking through his fear shell. He asks for more time because this fight is his alone. Ryu pats his shoulder, urging him to trust himself. Jinin grows bored, seeing it turn into a duel. He takes a punch while unprepared. Dinho taunts him and considers his next strike. Jinin snaps and counterattacks fiercely. Jinho ducks but is mocked as stupid. His knees suddenly, they're then hit with an even sharper blow. The crowd murmurs as he staggers, nearly fainting from pain. His nose bleeds while Jinin calmly lands another hit. Jinin kicks him rolling, proving overwhelming strength. He curses as Jinho remains trapped in his own thoughts. The boy realizes he can still endure while Jinin warms up to strike again. Junho rises, feeling oddly weightless. He glances at the other figure, suspecting hidden support though he knows no fighting. Jinin jabs again, smirking coldly. While he wonders what he knows about combat, beaten further, he starts realizing what he can do with his life. He suddenly counters, forcing the bully to defend. Though weak, his punch pushes him back. Copying fiction unexpectedly works. Minjuali is stunned by the speed of events. He imagines himself cool to gain courage. The bully charges, nose bleeding. Junho uses countless imagined training scenes from comics. He strikes while savoring the moment he always wanted. Then he raises his hand for the finishing blow. He grabs the bully's hair and pulls him down, believing he unlocked new power. Students gasp as he slams the opponent to the floor. Though victorious, he knows what he lacked was confidence. He cheers, swearing to believe in himself from now on. Then he clutches his face in pain, wondering why the other hasn't reached the roof. A familiar voice appears. He looks up and calls him Shifu. He quietly accepts without objecting. He says his first intuition was right, though what the boy learned differs from appearances. Junho admits he just copied manga, has surprised, calling it modern wuxia, and thanks him for seeing him as a power source. Ryo laughs, asking if his aura is only temporary. Junho looks at his hand, seeing the strange state fading. He asks why he's sad after winning, promising real power if he wants. He gives a condition. The boy panics but agrees to be his disciple. Ryo leans calmly on the railing, stunning him. Then he jumps down casually, telling the boy to follow. Junho hesitates, then leaps after him. He mutters that the man is truly harsh as a trainer. Scene shifts elsewhere. Dihem prepares breakfast, calling his younger brother. He yells at Bae Minguk for not answering. He grumbles that the boy oversleeps even under hot sun. Annoyed, he pulls his leg then pales at his condition. A call from View Zoom rings. He answers and asks them to continue. The caller agrees to cooperate, then angrily states the issue directly. He's terrified because his brother is weakening and won't wake up. He begs for help, saying the boy is precious. Ryu asks if this is a chance to assist and tells him to call the number he gives. He reassures him they'll do their best. While discussing, Ryu cuts his long hair with a knife. Scene shifts to a dark room where a subordinate reports the boss cares about Min Duolai. He asks why she's involved and who she is. Speaking, he peeks at the superior's dating scene. He smirks hearing the boss is with the girl. The other praises his quick wit, then talks about the boss obeying a woman. He says he assigned the case to Bae but got tricked and just met the man's brother. A ball bounces back, leaving him puzzled. Enraged, he smashes a golf club and assigns tasks to his men. Jinan agrees to handle it and urges the boss to stay calm. He stares at the pile of yellow drugs. He boasts about having 100,000 doses ready for distribution. The strong addictiveness will soon spread it worldwide. Scene shifts to Youngjun's training hall. Dihen arrives, wondering why he was called to such a strange place. Hearing a noise, he becomes alert. A woman appears, teasing him for being late. She suddenly asks if he wants to dance. Stunning him, she has Inarchy and jokes around, while Dian asks her name. Suspicious of them all, she stares at him unreadably, then pulls his shirt to sniff a familiar scent. Dihan knocks her hand away, scolding her odd behavior. She says the drug is real and empowered people pay the price. He shifts to asking when Ryuzum will arrive, saying he's fixing something. Familiar footsteps sound. Ryu appears with a hood. He removes it, greeting everyone. He apologizes for being late due to cutting his hair, shocking them. He asks if it looks stylish. They stare, questioning the sudden change. He says he must blend in because a danger is spreading worldwide. Though few, they share the same goal. Ryu solemnly calls to save the world, then asks if the two have met. She says she sensed the energy. Ryu steps close, startling her. Dihan asks if they know the source's owner. They urge him to act quickly. Dihan ignores the rest, focused on saving his brother. Ryu says Min-guk can't be healed because the drug is mixed with something foreign. Du listens intently to every word. Ryu asks again, hinting at a new, dangerous drug variant, and he asks about the new tube with high power and high risk. Dihan wonders if finding it could save his brother. Ryu places a hand on his shoulder. Dihan realizes his skin is healed. Ryu reassures him not to doubt. He turns away, thanking him for arriving in time, and he asks where to find the new drug. Dihan says the info is tight and teams only ship what they get. She doesn't understand why they must target the head. Ryu explains they must cut the root because even the leader is being controlled. Amy frowns, knowing bottom-up investigation is messy. Dihan remembers he forgot to report something. Hearing it, Rai's face changes instantly. Next day, the teacher asks why the class rep hasn't led the greeting. A student reports the class rep is absent. The teacher notes both Min-guk and Jinin are missing, then skips the ritual. On the rooftop, Mindali presses Ryu about Min-guk's disappearance. Ryu says he'll return soon, surprising her. Last night, Ryu went to Dihan's home to heal the boy. After channeling Ki, Min-guk's condition stabilized. He'll sleep for months but won't worsen. Mindali keeps following, demanding the full truth. Ryu covers her mouth, signaling someone's coming. Sign appears at the door. Mindali greets her, saying she told Shan everything and asks what they're doing. Mindali slings an arm over Shan, saying they're best friends. Then she pushes Shine toward Rai. It's their first real conversation. Shine is visibly shy, not hearing Ryu greet back. She looks up. Ryu is staring at her. In truth, has thinking about something else. Dihan's report revealed the boss ordered an attack on Ryu and Minjali, targeting her, and he filed a fake report to block it. Ryu asks why the boss targeted the girl. Dihan guesses it was an order he couldn't refuse. Ryu leans to whisper something to Shine. She recoils in shock. Mindali asks what he said. Shine suddenly runs off, leaving Mindali unable to chase. Once the girls leave, and he appears and Ryu asks if she found info on the boss. She confirms and says it's shocking. She names Choi Ji-wong, stunning Ryu. Long ago in a remote forest lay countless soldier corpses. The killer was a monster. It was Choi Ji-wong, now as chairman of Sildo's group. Living under the name Choi Dong-woon, scene shifts to him yelling for food, the head of Cider's Choice Young World. Late afternoon after school, Minduli walks with Ryu but suddenly confronts him. She asks what he told Shan to make her leave early. Ryu says she wouldn't believe it. She gets angrier, demanding truth. Hesitating, he decides to reveal it. He says all her troubles were manipulated by Shan. She freezes, not understanding why Shan would do that. She asks for proof. He only gives a helpless smile. Choking up, she leaves alone to think. She recalls first meeting Shan. The question, want to be friends with me? She was shocked, thinking she had nothing to offer, but Shine pulled her hand, saying joy was enough. Since then they became close friends, doing everything together, a duo of just two. She remembers how happy Shun was beside her, so she can't believe the accusation. Scene shift to sound. She walks home slowly, feeling lingering awkwardness. Remembering Ryu whispering at her ear, she's annoyed he teased too much. Sign covers her face and groans. Scene shifts to Jian and speaking with Dong-woo. The door bursts open, angering him. He instantly switches to serious demeanor. A young lady enters and sits. Dong-woo panics, ordering Jin out. He bows, apologizes, and assures her matters will be resolved. Cut to Dihan saying distribution has begun and his team was removed. Ryu guesses they've been noticed. Dihan says there's still a way using a trusted middleman, or secret trade channels like Bibong, and he asks what that is. Dihan snaps, and Ryu explains via sins. Both don't know sins or telegram. Dihan yells in frustration, lost on where to start, and he mocks him again, making Dihan groan at their outdatedness. Ryu says there must be a way. Elsewhere, drug deals happen through messages and address drops. Juno hangs up excitedly, ready for a deal. He recalls Ryu saying he'll appear once the deal starts, but Dihan warned the group is extremely dangerous. He panics and exits the train at the final stop. Looking outside, he confirms it's the meeting point. The car door suddenly opens. Burly man steps in. He urges him to hurry. Junho complies. Amazed by the secretive method, he takes the money and asks for the goods. The man reaches, then pulls back due to a call. He picks up. Juno panics at the bad timing. Someone asks what's happening. The man answers curtly. Orders from above say to halt deals with new clients. Then he calls Junho back, asking if his boss has arrived. The boy panics and runs to stall, but is blocked after only a few steps. He sees they have men in other cars too. A familiar voice reassures him he's not alone. Junho looks up in relief. It's Min-guk's older brother, but Dian lifts him, thinking he's causing trouble, then throws him aside, saying this is Team 2's deal point. Junho is confused beyond words. He sees Dihan intimidating the dealers. He sweats as Ryu has vanished again. Meanwhile, Ryu is lost in the subway station. He wonders which way to go. Dihan demands the new drug to gather info. They hesitate, saying Team 3 has received any. Angering him, Dian tells himself not to miss this chance and asks for the meeting spot. They're shocked. He says wait till tomorrow but knows early will save time. So they nod. They reveal the location, realizing they were tricked. A phone alert sounds, hinting trouble. Another team warns to watch out for Bei Dihan, making him shout. Dihan immediately slams them all down. With their faces on the floor, he apologizes. He says he has his own reasons and must use force. He charges the fake one. The man counters and threatens. Dihan slips aside and kicks him, stumbling. He punches his gut hard, demanding answers. Another guy takes the drug and mocks the captain's strength, forcing Dihan to look back, but too late. The man tests his boosted power. Seeing the strange change, Dihan realizes it's the new formula. Has slammed into the wall and mocked as weak. He laughs, admitting Team 2 adapts well and the new drug boosts strength. The fake revives, boasting they're above Team 3 even if below Team 1. He prepares to inject 2, noting Team 3 was cut from trials, but Dihan rushes in and breaks the tube. They rage at being insulted. Junho watches from the dark, admiring his power buildup. Dihan warns them not to act superior since his team still outranks them. Junho eagerly awaits their defeat. As he strikes, Dihan is arm locked from behind. They jeer that Team 3 is just a stepping stone to Team 1, but he won't be read. He kicks one in the chest and flips up, then hooks the other's jaw to break the hold. He kicks the temple hard, daring them to continue. Both are dazed, but thanks to the drug, one recovers fast and argues back. He gut punches Dihan, knocking him back. Junho rushes in asking how is a Captain. Dihan snaps, telling him to shut up and hide in the car. He steadies himself, aware he lacks the new drug's boost. While both enemies are enhanced, he can't delay. In moments they flank behind him, both shove him forward with force. They use their practice combo, smoothly forcing him down for the finisher. They threaten to drag him back to HU, making him wonder if this is the end. Suddenly the train window explodes. Junho freezes at the sight. Dihan still stands after the hit. He coldly grabs their arms, taunting while panicking inside. He tells himself he didn't want escalation but must end it now. He unleashes rapid strikes they can't dodge. They're blasted through the shattered window. Junho is stunned by his coolness. Dihan sits between the unconscious pair, proudly relieved he managed it. That night, in the quiet dark, the two arrogant men are tied in a train repair yard. Dihan complains while Ryuzum proposes a brutal solution, shocking him. Then Junho peeks in asking to leave. Ryuzum calls him to stay and listen, smiling oddly. Confusing Dihan, Dihan pushes to extract info fast before trouble grows, but the two captives stay stubbornly silent. Lu Jimu says they already have a specialist, raising his curiosity. Si-hei steps out confidently. Wang Rong lies on the captive, uncomfortable but acting in the open. Lu Jimu urges her to use illusion arts, freezing Dihan and Jun Hao. Si-hei smiles and accepts the task. She leans in, telling the captive to cooperate. She claims her mind is steel-trained after countless drills, all to protect the organization she treats as doctrine. And this time she fights to uphold that oath. Si-hei seduces while vowing to keep her mind unmoved. He wakes naked under a thin blanket in panic, staring at the ceiling. He wonders if it's an illusion. A woman's voice makes him sit up in confusion. Si-hei crawls over, saying only the two of them remain. He is speechless, sensing it's not a dream. She slips under the blanket, forcing him to focus on sensation. He keeps asking what is happening. She notes his strong physical reaction and whispers her demand. In the forest, Dihan orders the team to halt. They see his flushed face and grow suspicious. Si-hei explains triggering desire lets the illusion take over, making others wonder what she provoked. She leans in asking where the vial stashes. He mutters agreement to confess. Lu Jimu and Hao gape as he reveals a clue. He says it's in the director's basement. The bound man tries to stop him but can't speak. He details the basement rooms packed with drug stock. Dihan frowns, never knowing the place even had a basement. Lu Jimu asks why the drug was spread globally and about side effects. He confirms Team 3 knows it's highly harmful, especially to minors. He says children are the main test subjects because they fit best. He admits he doesn't know why it went global, only worked for money. Dihan wants to hit him but Si-hei stops him. Lu Jimu fumes that a deserving target can't be executed. In the illusion, the man licks his lips, saying he's ready. Si-hei pushes him for answers, and he pants in response. He laughs crazily, drooling. In reality, he lies on the bound victim, drool choking the captive. Si-hei says if they can't kill him, then ignore him. Jun Hao wants him gone. Angering Dihan as Liu Jimu signals action. Elsewhere, Shi Yun strolls through the hall. Suddenly her eyes widen. Lu Jimu blocks her, making her stammer. He coldly asks if she's the child of Kuijing. She panics and counters. He narrows his eyes, doubting how that man could have a child and appear here. A memory of him holding an injured baby makes him wonder what that child meant to him. Min Duelist call snaps him back, inviting him to eat. She nods. Lu Jimu watches the two leave. On the field, Jun Hao reports readiness. Lu Jimu orders training to begin. The city glows as the brown-haired girl heads upstairs but turns back to check. Si-hei imitates the brown-haired girl over comms, testing signal quality. From afar, Dihan tells her to stay discreet and report to him. Someone complains of cold. Si-hei acts calm. Walking is directed. Dihan repeats the mission to confirm the vial location unnoticed. She agrees firmly. Si-hei mutters she never expected this, then reports the area is quiet. She steadies herself before the elevator. Dihan watches through binoculars, noting all leaders are absent today. Suddenly he widens his eyes in warning. Two leather shoes appear behind Si-hei. He tells her not to turn because the captains are there. They are San Diego of Team 1 and Zhou Jingwen of Team 2. Dihan frowns, telling her to greet them then move aside. Still suspicious, Jingwen asks why she isn't entering, while he wonders why they're here now. Si-hei bows and lets him go first. Inside she panics, not knowing what's happening. As the door closes, a hand stops it and calls out, Jingwon pulls her earpiece, asking why she has gear without a mission. He demands to know who she is talking to, freezing her, his voice harsh above her, scolding her for not answering. She stammers, trying to explain. She senses crushing pressure from both captains. Unable to see inside, Dian shouts in worry. A gentle voice tells him to calm down. She somehow escapes them and reports she's inside the base, hiding in a corner. She says the captains aren't too suspicious. Dihan warns caution and asks about the descent, but she can't see it. She spots an air vent, suspecting it's the only path. She crawls in, complaining it's tight. The other admits never trying it. Dihan asks progress. She reports reaching the basement. He sternly asks her to confirm the drugs. She says there are no drugs here, something else instead. He panics inside, assuming something bad. A woman's voice makes him guess the identity. Zay Naning coldly asks who she is. Dihan recognizes Zay Naning, who says he expected Dihan to come, making him think he foresaw this. Axihe sighed. He mocks that her report was suspicious. Zay Naning recalls planting the bug. He turns on his phone to control the system. The device had been secretly installed. Dihan curses furiously. He asks Axihe if she can escape. She repeats it in confusion. She shoves Zay Naning back, both blasted away by a burst of energy, with green force swirling. She readies herself, confident in her magic. Zay Naning is momentarily stunned, then he smirks. The captain suddenly restrains Hai as he calls her interesting, making her realize their presence. Zay Naning smiles, promising to find answers himself. Before he finishes, Dian kicks Team 1's captain away. Warning not to insult women, Zay Naning calmly sits and asks how he found this place. He points at a cabinet, saying clues led him to the hidden spot. He scolds them for isolating him and suspects the drugs were moved. They confirm it and call him Team 3 as captain. The two captains inject themselves and question him for angering their superior. Zay Naning warns them to be wary of Xihei standing behind Dihan. She sees the disadvantage and prioritizes retreat. Team 1's captain charges. Team 2 hits Xihei, but she dodges. He unleashes more speed, making her admit is faster than expected. Dian shifts stance, seeing both focusing attacks on Xihei, making her suspect she was the target all along. A punch flies, but Zay Naning blocks it and takes the blow. Someone behind tells her to duck. Zay Naning winces and repeats it. Xihei repeats the command, then releases demonic force, blasting both captains away. Zay Naning remains seated, mocking as he watches his subordinates fly. Dihan wipes blood, asks why she won't use her strongest illusion. She snaps that it drains too much inner power. She recalls just facing Zay Naning head-on, and blasting two captains drained her. Needing time to recover, he mutters in shock as she stares at him. He rushes in to buy time per her plan but gets knocked back. He grits his teeth. Enduring, Zay Naning watches, sensing it's time for another to strike him with a weapon. Someone cheers that the staff belongs to Team 2's captain. He leaps down, shouting he won't hold back on the ground. Dian panics. Zay Naning suddenly orders them to stop. Team 2's captain freezes. Zay Naning asks why he intends to kill a comrade, saying the joke's over and they must talk. Without waiting, he asks why Dihan chose this hostile path. He says they were close, so he should speak slowly with him. A memory flashes in Dihan's mind, admitting Zay Naning once was. Dihan asks if he knows how important Mingo is. Zay Naning says of course, treating him like a younger brother, but is shocked to hear Mingo is suffering and Dihan once shared the drug with him. He lifts an item, saying he stopped after finding side effects, but the boy took new doses himself and worsened. He clenches his fist, saying for his brother he has no other choice. Zay Naning covers his mouth in astonishment. Dian glares as he praises him as a model brother. He recalls giving Mingu the drug and scolding him for improper use, then confesses he was the one who baited him with it. Dian snaps, lunging to punch his gut. Zay Naning fails to dodge and collapses. Dian keeps punching and kicking in rage. His speed leaves the two captains stunned. Two syringes roll across the floor. He seems to glow with fury, admitting he suspected long ago. Bleeding, he curses himself for overdoing it. Saihei watches anxiously, seeing his power peak while his body breaks. He screams at them, making her fear hell fall before beating them. A flash erupts behind the captains. Zay Naning springs up, kicking his stomach and slamming him into the wall, shocking Saihei. He faintly hears Zay Naning mock him for relying on faulty drugs. Then he turns to Xihei. What about her? He slicks his hair back, aura erupting as he threatens to test her. Meanwhile, Liu Jimu runs frantically, heart uneasy. Bei's message makes him rush more. Knowing chaos broke out, he accelerates. Dihan runs, saying they must shield Xihei. He suspects the superiors discovered everything. He uses Lightstep to cross the busy road. The distance is far, but he must reach fast. A flash passes, making him recognize a familiar energy. Meanwhile, Dihan on the other side is hurled into the sea. His eyes grow heavy as he denies what's happening. Dihan realizes he's sinking deeper instead of returning to his body. As he sinks, he oddly relaxes, sensing someone near. His vision closes in haze. He weakly calls to the figure. It's Liu Jimu pulling him ashore, and he thanks him. Liu Jimu immediately asks what caused the incident. Dian scowls, recounting Charjin's sudden appearance. Liu Jimu confirms the identity. He mentions that man's arrogance and power, punching a steel post in anger. Liu Jimu warns him to stop before his exhausted body collapses. Dian cries over being betrayed by someone he trusted. Liu Jimu asks what happened. He says he blacked out and lost contact with an he. Dian gloomily blames himself for the failed plan. Hearing this, Liu Jimu turns serious, seeking a new approach while he worries for an he. At that time, and he is tied tightly to a chair, Zhen Yin interrogates her, promising release if she cooperates. He asks why she followed Dihan. She says she wants the leader, not subordinates. He sneers that meeting the final boss isn't easy. He curls his lip with interest. He asks why she wants to meet him. Do they share secrets? She widens her eyes and questions him back. Jianyin mocks her supposed luck. A shadowy figure appears in the basement. A man approaches while humming, hearing movement, and he looks back. Seeing him, Jianyin bows to his superior. He says he planned to drink but heard there was a guest. Jianyin stays bowed as he hears the order to leave them alone. The room's door closes. The man pours wine and praises his subordinate as sharp and useful, and he dryly agrees. He says she should treat him well because he's his man. Suddenly he notices fluttering butterflies. The chair is empty, butterflies filling the air. He freezes as a hand nearly touches his neck. He clenches and grabs a butterfly wing. She has already moved behind him. He braces to counter, brows tight. He darkens and snaps, demanding answers. His power shatters her entire illusion. Reality returns. The blue butterfly's gone. She braces on the floor. Annoyed, his tone is still irritating. Memories rush and she recognizes him as Tulu Qihao. She stares at him and calls him by name Kui Zhenjiwen. He praises her, saying she fits on Anna's reputation. He says his career here is firmly established. He lifts his hand showing Jules proof of power, wealth, and family. He recalls Ujin and reveals everything related. He boasts of enjoying a bright life unlike his painful past. She tilts her head, asking if he predicted her existence long ago. He pours wine, saying living here long enough makes it obvious. She replies challengingly. He sets the bottle down and reveals matters concerning Liu Jumu. He suspects she colluded, but she says that's impossible. She sits, coldly stating she approached him only as intelligence, and his managing Min Duoli, who is being hunted. He bursts laughing, saying that makes all the pieces fit. He raises his glass, asking if Ojin knows she mocks him for being naive. She says reporting after finishing is more effective, making him conclude she came to stir chaos. Sweating lightly, she calmly says he knows has never feared confrontation. Her eyes widen at his response, of course. Standing before her, he declares he no longer wants to fight. She looks at the wine shelf, stating this is part of Ujin's plan. When time comes, all will gather, and he now has much to protect. Meanwhile, Cyan stands by the road checking her phone. She grumbles about being picked up late, ruining her schedule. Two men nearby watch her. They approach, whispering they have no other way. A hand suddenly grips her shoulder. Cyan turns to see a man pressing close. Before she can speak, her mouth is covered, only muffled sounds escaping. Elsewhere, someone runs in panicked with news. Zhenjiwen, eating, asks what happened as the subordinate apologizes for interrupting. He hears the report that the young miss was kidnapped. The subordinate pales, trembling as he asks who did it. In rage, he tears the roast pig and roars for the culprit. He frowns when told the kidnappers are identified. It's Ryu and several other students. Past-scene soldiers line up awaiting orders. A general orders weapons ready to seize Kujing and kill the child. Zhenjiwen flees carrying the girl. She asks why they are so cruel. He says it's only because of the child's beauty. He reassures her that her future will be bright. Arrows rain toward them. Soldiers panic because the order was to capture alive, not kill. Someone says relax. The arrows in his back mean nothing to him. The general orders shield formation, preparing to crush him as his face turns feral. Zhenjiwen charges, carving a bloody path and flinging soldiers aside. The general swings his sword, demanding Zhenjiwen's arm as a trophy. Holding the girl in one arm, he punches the sword to pieces. The general freezes. He instantly knocks the general out. Soldiers gasp. That is terrifying even while carrying a child. His hands are bound when soldiers find an opening. He narrows his eyes at the one before him. The child is ripped from his grasp and tossed into soldiers who cheer. They caught him. The girl is dragged down and beheaded, making him widen his eyes. The general warns never to underestimate Kui Jing, who hasn't shown his true nature. The general trembles violently. Other generals stammer, calling him a monster. His giant silhouette looms over the troops, making them shake. In the present, Zhenjiwen jolts awake in bed. Jianyin sits before him asking if he slept well. He asks if the interrogation is done. He reports Liu Jumu and Dihan are approaching the young miss for the new drug. Jixian stands, vowing to handle them and report back. Zhenjiwen freezes at that reply. He says he will handle it himself. Elsewhere, Dihan leans on a chair, shirt open showing bandaged wounds. Hearing someone call him captain, Guard No. 3 asks worriedly about his state and why only their team is pressured. His silence annoys the man, who scolds him for hiding things when tensions are high. He tells them to go, keeping his head down and stopping no one. One approaches, suggesting drinks together since they're still comrades. Dian pushes his hand away despite hearing they stand with him. He growls at them to leave, silently apologizing. He fixes his shirt and walks off, not wanting to drag the team in. He slams the door, hearing them complain his difficult as they leave. Thinking of his brother wrapped in bandages, he curses in anger. A knock sounds. Liu Jimu brings Jun Hao, saying he called him to support. Dihan greets them. The three sit in a circle planning how to find the drug stash. Liu Jumu says with no contact to he they must not act rashly. Dihan guesses the drugs are hidden deep. They sit in silence until one impatiently asks for another idea. Junho adjusts his glasses, shouting wait. He asks about Xia, the boss's daughter, thinking she might know something or be useful. The other two stare, asking if he plans to kidnap her. He panics, denying bad intent. Dihan's phone rings. It's Min Duoli. He excuses himself to answer before Liu Jumu finishes speaking. The voice on the line screams an emergency. Min Duoli urgently says he must. Someone suspicious appeared. She says it's worse. Xian has been taken. She now clearly sees the kidnapper's face. It is exactly Jinin. Jinin sits before Xia, speaking of a secret world full of anomalies. He shows a drug tube, boasting of its power and asking where to get more. Xian panics, calling him insane for treating her like this. He clamps her mouth shut. He glares, saying he knows her father is the investment director. He waves a utility knife before her, threatening to slash her face if she won't talk. Terrified, she bursts into tears. Suddenly a voice above him shouts, "Hey, you dog!" Min Duoli slams into him, knocking him over. Xian looks up, eyes wide in shock. Recognizing him, she silently calls Min Duoli's name. Jinin kneels on one leg, cursing in pain. Liu Jimu's trio appears. Jinin smirks, taunting them. Jinin screams that is no longer the same. Liu Jimu lazily grabs his neck with one hand and lifts him. He coldly says he sees no improvement. Jinin panics, realizing the mistake of confronting him. Strangled, he bulges his eyes, sweating, confused by this strange strength. Liu Jimu drops him and asks who fed him intel. Jinin tries to answer, then switches to cursing, saying the informant is linked to Liu Jimu. The door suddenly bursts open. Liu Jimu's face darkens. Zhenjuan appears with murderous aura. Zhen Yin says as expected they kidnapped his daughter. Liu Jimu's friend is still struggling to free Xia. Someone shakes her, saying she's fainted. Red aura rises from Liu Jimu. Someone cries his name in fear. He thinks to himself this is Junhao, and Min Duoli gape as the ground trembles. Dihan says it's his first time seeing this. Zhenjuan unleashes overwhelming energy, terrifying everyone. He had been hiding his true power. Dian concludes he has no intention of listening. He steps forward to shield the group. Liu Jimu tells everyone to retreat. He chooses to face Zhenjuan alone. Someone shouts his name. His gaze turns icy. Zhenjuan smashes the ground, blasting debris. Roaring hell, kill him first. He gives him a predator's glare. Liu Jimu instantly launches Purified Tiger Fist. His punch drives straight into the opponent's face. Zhenjuan's punch grazes only Liu Jimu's hair. Junhao and Min Duoli carry Xian out while Dihan wonders about the tremors. Team 1 and 2 captains chase them. Saying they're fleeing, Liu Jimu punches Zhenjuan up into the ceiling. His subordinates scream boss. Zhenjuan lands lightly, arrogantly saying those hits are nothing. Zhenyan thinks that wasn't even a real strike. The place collapses into rubble. People flee, fearing hell bring the whole building down. Team 2's captain answers a call. Replying rapidly to upper command, he is ordered to hand Xian to the deputy leader. Still confused, Zhenjuan clenches his fist, ordering everyone to leave now. He charges to strike Liu Jimu, vowing to kill him first then hunt the rest. Meanwhile, 2 cars ram each other on the road. Dihan is driving when a voice asks, "Where am I?" She holds her head in pain. Min Duoli calls, "Xian, you're awake." She opens her eyes. They urgently ask if she remembers anything. She says she remembers nothing. Memories of Min Duoli saving her return. She asks how he found the place. Junhao says Min Duoli saw it first and chased recklessly, then snaps when corrected. She hears someone call her name and wonders why. Min Duoli says thank goodness she's safe. She can't believe it despite knowing what happened. Junhao suddenly asks if she knows where the new drug is stored. She confirms they're searching for exactly that. Dian pleads for help, needing the drug to save Mingo. Min Duoli warns the drug is dangerous and they don't want her harmed. Believing they can stop everything, Xian grips the seat tightly. She recalls seeing family members store several careful suitcases. She hesitantly says the drug is likely in her home's safest place. Soon the car stops at Axian's mansion. Dian steps out, letting out a long sigh. Seeing people already waiting, he gets annoyed, thinking he rushed for nothing. Zhang Yin retorts they also sprinted and teases him for taking on everything alone. Dihan injects himself in the left chest, stating his stance clearly. Tossing the syringe aside, he asserts of course he can do it. He scowls sharply, warning them to wait a moment. A yawning man interrupts him. Guards swarm in to attack him. Dian counters fiercely, smashing faces, but he also takes many hits. Even so, he drops several and mocks them. "Is that all? Enough to beat me?" But then the whole pack piles onto him. He falls, making Min Duoli conclude he can't win alone. Xian covers her mouth, lost on how to help, teeth clenched. Junhao resolves to assist, feeling he must act, but before he exits, he freezes in shock. Dihan is surrounded as a shout for justice erupts. Hyanen's Team 3 arrives, throwing shirts up and challenging everyone at once. They complain their captain lacks refinement. Zhang Yanren snaps at their stupidity. A Team 3 member shouts the command and they all charge. On cue, Team 3 crushes the guards with overwhelming speed and ferocity. Team 1's captain collapses trembling, stunned by their power. He wonders why such strength is in Team 3. He rambles, questioning why they protect Dihan so fiercely. A Team 3 member reports they don't see Teams 1 and 2. Dian says that's good news. He says they'll carve a path. Dihan fist bumps thanks. The guards are nearly wiped out. Zhen Yin mocks that Team 3 sure loves their captain. Dian challenges him to stop spouting nonsense. He opens his shirt, showing loads of drugs hidden inside. Jianyan injects one into his neck, saying he's fired up and ready to go all night. Meanwhile, Liu Jimu's fight still has no winner. Zhenjiwen, though huge, moves extremely fast. Liu Jimu also attacks at blinding speed, but Zhenjiwen blocks everything. Barely hurt, Liu Jimu says he's figured some things out. Zhenjiwen frowns at his remark about how he treats subordinates. He kicks him while speaking, asking what misunderstanding exists. Zhenjiwen is kicked through the doorway but remains standing. He rises, telling him to stop talking and prepare to die. Liu Jimu replies he has no other choice. He draws a metal rod, saying he must finish this fast. It's the last drug vial. Dihan decisively throws it away, choosing to end everything here. He wonders if the burning in his body is okay. The syringe drops. He forces himself steady. He charges the enemy, vowing to win. The opponent dodges easily, mocking his weakness. Dihan grits out the name Che Jinan. No matter how he strikes, he can't touch him. Jinan calmly counters, saying my turn. Dihan barely dodges as Jinan says there's still time, so hell play more. He struck decisively, bored by the lack of challenge. Dihan pushed himself up and asked what he meant about time. Jinan leaned in, boasting he'd share something interesting. He said the stock shield phase was now just the past. A flash of agents collecting drugs showed he'd used chaos to seize all supplies. He claimed every event was orchestrated by him from the start. Before him stood the massive figure of Deng Won. That man's strength far exceeded anything the drug gave them. He turned back with a sly smile. Hiding unknown motives, Info paled at the recording, and he thanked him for the new intel. Gifted individuals appeared, proving the man wasn't alone. Amid it all, bizarre weapons stood out most. The kid lit up with excitement, inspiring his new plan. Watching nearby, he found a madman perfect for this addictive mix. Zioninkus casually asked who owned the drug, sparking the whole plot. He noticed a girl, whose presence sped up his timetable. He led the group to a rendezvous point. Is this the place? Yes, boss. A wicked grin formed as he confirmed they're heading out. A group of students waited, everything running smoothly. The two sides clashed, the victor irrelevant. The guards outside still used outdated methods. His clenched fists signaled the truth was exposed. Dihan punched Xianan, revealing why he targeted Minguk. The opponent snapped, asking if he could even hear. Idiot! He countered instantly, right on his planned cue. He admitted gleefully the guy was just a toy, just like him now. The other rose shakily, pretending he wasn't breaking. Dihan roared and charged, cursing him viciously, but he took another vicious strike. Long, icy claws slashed through him. Zion calmly brushed his hair, praising the tiger claw gear to taunt Dihan. He kept attacking, jeering at Dihan for fighting barehanded. Dihan poured all force into a final punch and lunge. Zion countered, mocking his weak ability and calling him a toy. Ending the bout, Dihan wavered but let out a faint laugh in despair. He scolded Zion, asking if it caused enough chaos. His words shocked the foe. Had found the only way to win. Heavy punch slammed into Zion's gut, surprising him with its odd angle. His ribs cracked apart, unable to believe the power. He was hurled violently away. Ryuzum's lesson echoed in Dian's mind, focus and sharpen. His gaze fixed ahead as his body froze in perfect precision. His eyes lit up as he asked if he wanted to know their true gap. The wider the world, the steadier he must stand. Dihan rose bloodied, vowing to secure the drug vials. Minduli stared in shock. She pointed at a group carrying dossiers out of the building, asking who they were. Realizing it was the drug, she panicked and asked what to do. While Junho freaked out, the other answered hollowly, saying not to ask him. Sign curled up trembling, fearing her father's arrest and muttering about a lonely future. Dihan stood despite exhaustion. His foot stepped on a syringe. He flinched upon seeing it. Distracted, he was ambushed by Xianan. Zion flung him away and cursed under his breath for being startled to death. Zion grinned triumphantly, nearly dozing from boredom. That shocked Dihan as the drug was fading and escape was gone. A hand suddenly rested on his shoulder. Dihan turned away, declaring he'd stop fighting for old time's sake. He spun fast, demanding he stop. Dihan charged again, refusing to let him leave. He struck Dihan hard, blaming trouble on his foolish brother. But Dihan rose and rushed again. Zion punched back, shouting if he could think of himself. He collapsed in pain but still had one last choice. He pulled out another item. It was a syringe. He raised, asking to borrow it. Zion panicked at his empty pocket, screaming it was stolen. Ryan sneered, warning injection meant certain death. But he only answered with manic laughter. Dihan's trembled violently. Power burst inside him as he growled he was fine. His face shifted, saying Minguk living was enough. Memories of a warm family surfaced. Little Dihan turned, calling his dad. Mind drifted into age 9. Father and son walked away from the other home. Hearing the parents had split, they moved to a small house. Child hands held a cup. Knowing the fault was dad's, he gave the cup to his injured father, living with him since he couldn't work. The photo of 4 remained, while Minguk went to a foster mother. The boy asked if he'd stay only with mom now. The mother coldly said she could only raise Minguk, who was sharper, and the father couldn't handle both. Lonely Block signaled no more playtime with his brother. He watched dad bow heavily. Then an idea flickered. Dihan gripped his brother's hand, deciding to let the boy go. Minguk looked at the small item, sensing the burden on his brother. It was a tiny letter. Dihan sat on a swing, waiting for someone. From afar came a call. Bro! Minguk held up the coded note, proud to stay close to him. They talked, agreeing to meet at the Silver Bell playground. telling no parents. They secretly met and cherished the rare time. Days turned into a full week. Then Mom caught them playing, ending it all. Dad called the elder boy, saying he'd heard everything from Mom. Memories opening you. Dad sternly forbade further meetings. The hot summer faded silently. A lone figure walked through winter's white. Dehan drifted past the old playground. Dad said Minguk was fine, calming him until he saw otherwise. His brother sat curled on the familiar swing. He grabbed the boy's shoulders, asking why he waited alone daily. Minguk looked up weakly, starving and scolding him for being late. Seeing him, he cried while the boy pretended had just fallen. A lie he saw through. Dehan had once seen Mom with another man. Knowing his brother was neglected, Minguk was left in a corner like trash. The doorbell rang sharply. Voices asking who it was. The door opened and Dehan burst. People inside shouted, calling Minguk back. He dragged his brother out, blaming himself heavily. Tears fell from regret. He should have said he didn't want to be separated. Dehan hid him away, saying they couldn't return or had be sent back. Footsteps approached. Both turned in terror. A man's voice made them freeze pale. He raised his hand to strike despite their cries of dad. Both shut their eyes awaiting the blow, but he hugged them tightly and wept apologies. Tears poured from the Wansestoic father, blaming himself for failing them. The brothers wore mourning clothes, and 2 months later life shifted again. Before them was their father's memorial. He collapsed under crippled hardship. A poor laborer fell at his sight, making me feel all blame was mine. The two brothers clutched hands to keep from breaking. They stood at the orphanage gate, and I accepted the cost of my choice. Minguk looked worried as Dehan smiled, promising to stay by him. In the present, their duel was still undecided. His eyes burned with unshakable will. Zion grew more excited, praising that fierce power. Spectators panicked for the captain facing director Luna. Dehan attacked non-stop, while he calmly blocked using 2 drug types. He fought focused, baffled by the drug's strange effects. Dehan was punched in the chest, the blast shock leaving him dazed. The drug and blows were ravaging his stamina. Zioning stayed alert, knowing time favored him. He also took a heavy kick but refused to waste a second. Both poured all power into a finishing strike. The impact shook the ground like a sudden quake. Many were thrown aside as he fought to stay upright. He forced a grin, complaining his stuff was ruined, yet amused, but the smile vanished quickly. Dehan held his stance, scolding how long he'd keep messing around. He smirked back, saying he'd fight till he sent him to his ancestors. They clashed again. Dehan punched straight, and he countered. He hooked his jaw in relentless combos. Losing count. Spectators gasped at the true battle of wills, urging the captain on. Zion was drained, and Dehan could barely hear, feeling only boredom. He tried to regain control, sneering. Dehan was spent, while the foe yelled he alone fully mastered the drug. Yet something pushed him to stand. They charged to kill one another. Dehan struck Zion's back. He reacted instantly and grappled him. Memories of visiting his father and his promise resurfaced. Dehan spun and landed a punch, snapping Zion's head back. The crowd froze. The captain had won. He stood still a moment, whispering he'd reached the end, then collapsed. A satisfied smile remained. Had fulfilled his choice. Scene cut to Duncan attacking Ryuzum, forcing an immediate counter, but Ryuzum's eyes widened in shock. Soon he was blasted far away. Ryujin braced on his sword to stay upright. He leapt right after. Ryuzum's body hovered midair. In a flash he dove at the foe and struck. Duncan clenched his fist, energy coiling around it. He stepped back into a ready stance. A massive explosion followed. A nearby lurker panicked, saying the building might collapse. He recalled the director's warning. Shocked by that power, back in the fight, Ryuzum attacked Dungul relentlessly, but the man dodged effortlessly. Duncan taunted him, calling his speed too slow. When he slipped, Ryuzum appeared from above. Ryuzum launched a heavy kick, mocking the foe's strength. Then he spun for another strike. Midair, he grabbed a falling steel bar. He smashed it onto Duncan's head, tearing his ear. Ryuzum warned coldly not to be surprised yet. He then hammered blows with the steel rod. Every strike targeted key joints, limiting movement. He kept hitting weak points, debating finishing it. A long sigh echoed mid-battle. He returned to stance. Without delay, he unleashed 2 finishing blows. The observer gaped as his strikes split the air like rending the sky. The more he watched, the more the strength overwhelmed him. He concluded only the other side remained. This fighter was incomparable. Just then, Duncan's hand clamped Dehan's throat. He slammed Ryuzum to the ground in fury. Duncan roared, asking who said he weakened. After a moment, he finally released, then hurled him against a wall. Both his hands glowed with dense white kai. Duncan charged at extreme speed and punched Ryuzum straight in the gut. As it ended, he sneered at all counterattacks. He bragged one strike was enough to crush him. He sank down laughing, realizing he hadn't weakened at all. Duncan then muttered he truly was hungry. 2 ambushers seized the chance and attacked. They screamed foolishly, thinking one hit would do, but he floored them effortlessly. Dehan glanced over, cursing that absurd reaction speed. He realized the man had known everything from the start. Moments later, the two lay defeated. Ryuzum stepped from the smoke, confirming he'd sensed it all. Duncan snapped, shouting he'd used them as bait on purpose. Seeing Ryuzum, he knew he wasn't easy to take down. Ryuzum stared him down, asking if he now saw the traitor behind him, making him falter. Dong Kun burst into bitter laughter. He punched the ground, feeling made a fool. He muttered he truly was pitiful. He blamed himself for disappointing his family by failing his duty, and believed he was unworthy to lead. Ryuzum said coldly his goal was protecting the drug, not winning. He drove the steel bar into the ground, then turned away, saying they'd fight next time. Dong Kun barked, asking what he'd just said. He stood, claiming he could do better. He challenged him, vowing to kill him to protect the organization. He laughed confidently, calling comrades his family no matter what, but blood burst out. Stunned by the strike he took, with a single touch, Ryuzum blew off his entire arm. He coldly urged surrender, reminding even Ozun had used him. The shock crushed him, realizing his loyalty meant nothing. Old memories surged back. Ryuzum swung steel, saying everything here had crossed the line. He stepped forward, saying he must end it. People needed him. Dong Kun questioned if had truly been used. Fragmented memories of his daughter surfaced, then friends and chance encounters, faces vivid. Thinking of that, his body began to distort. His shadow swelled unnaturally. Ryuzum watched sharply, knowing the true form had emerged. Dong Kun completed his transformation, becoming a blazing red entity. He roared like a monster, vowing no one would steal anything from him again. Then he lunged at Ryuzum like a wild beast. Ryuzum had only heard rumors, but that tense aura proved it was truly a monster. Seeing the form, Ryuzum knew it was a real beast-type entity. Excitement rose in him, wanting to witness its full power. Ryuzo calmly read the strike, tilting aside from the super-speed punch. Even he was shocked by the force that could blow apart a wall. But seeing the steel bar dripping red, he knew had pierced the foe's left back and still outsped him. Yet Dongwon kept punching with his left hand unfazed, surprising him. As the red punch surged in, Ryuzum was blasted away instantly. He was confused, wondering what was happening. His face showed pure shock. The beast swung wild fists like a storm. Dong Kun roared like a crazed animal. He suddenly noticed Ryuzum had vanished from view. A streak flashed, blood burst from Dong Kun's arm. Ryuzum also saw the foe was sturdier than before. He panicked it clearly cut him, yet he still moved, recalling the regrown arm. Realizing it regenerated fully startled him, he landed, accepting the truth. His deduction held that insane healing came from the beast state. Dong Kun hesitated to speak, then lipped up, telling him to feel that power. He struck down like thunder. He declared this weight was pure muscle strength. The ground beneath Ryuzum cracked open. He stayed calm, noting through combat that he had limits. He sensed he couldn't unleash full power without knowing why. He analyzed the fight, realizing his ki flow wasn't smooth, so he grew cautious. Reckless Kaiyus could be deadly with such rapid regeneration. Ryuzum raised the steel rod, unsure whether to use the full technique. A blazing red flame erupted around the bar. Dong Kun stared wide in fear. Now he was certain this was the only move that could stop regeneration. Ryuzum advanced, voice steely, ordering him to prepare for the finishing blow, but a shout rang out telling him to stop. Minderly and Jonho angrily blocked the way, accusing them of stealing the drug to flee. One man yelled to ignore them and withdraw at once. Shine sat frozen in the car, watching everything. Her face was filled with shock. The strange men's glances made Xian question who they were. On the other side, Dong Kun's strike split the ground. His voice trembled, speaking of the final blow. He dashed after them, utterly unhesitant. He lunged at Ryuzum with a raging punch, screaming to finish it. Ryuzum stayed silent, then muttered deeply, embracing the fire without moving. Then he swung the blade down. A pillar of flame erupted, engulfing the beast. He widened his eyes, unable to grasp the fire's source. The violent blaze burned fiercely. A shaking explosion followed. The flames faded to reveal Gatwi drained. Dong Kun despaired as regeneration failed, reminded no one could shield him forever. Ryu sighed, realizing he too was helpless when alone. He said sincerely they should have learned to survive by themselves. Dong Kun still doubted the idea of self-defense. Ryu thought sadly he'd feel lighter if they had. The man asked suspiciously why he spoke such useless words to someone he intended to kill. Dong Kun suddenly entrusted Ryuzum with a request. He stammered with desperate hope. Ryuzum smiled, asking him to teach his daughter self-defense. Suddenly his weapon was knocked away. A familiar voice sounded, and Ryuzo recognized the newcomer. Jihyun stepped in, saying he'd figured it out from the rambling. Glass shards shattered wherever he passed. Jihyun smirked arrogantly, calling Ryuzo by his old nickname. He sneered at Ryuzo's weakened state. Dong Kun roared in fury, asking about the boy's fate. He spat out a contemptuous tale about the drug vial. Jihyun sighed that everything ended terribly. Then he cheerfully announced he came to clean up. He repeated the order to erase the drug and everyone tied to it. The cruel words flowed lightly. Zion panicked at Jihyun. In a moment, the boy's breath stopped. He grew more ecstatic seeing their shock. Bragging, he ordered the kill. Jihyun approached with a mad grin, saying it was their turn. Dong Kun rose in rage. He charged and punched Jihyun straight on. The man snarled, teeth grinding. Ryuzo watched tensely nearby, but the punch struck Zion instead, stunning everyone. Zion went limp in his arms. Gayan hovered, grinning crookedly in delight. He mocked their despair. Dong Kun held Zion tightly, choking up. Tears fell as he said Uzun had been right. Jian still smirked proudly, calling him family. He shrugged indifferently, Then his gaze locked on Ryujium. Ryujium hardened his expression, eyes fixed on him. Gaen grinned and vanished. Lunging at Ryujium, he readied his stance, signaling readiness. The impact boomed like thunder. Shockwaves split the ground. Gaen laughed wildly, aura raging. Ryujium was pushed back again. He planted his feet, sweat pouring. A cold thought surfaced. His power was monstrous. His eyes burned with helplessness at the gap in strength. He froze, losing track of him. The man's mocking voice sounded behind him. Gaen drove a spiraling punch through the air at him. The sound triggered a familiar memory. He noticed a glowing metal device hidden in his sleeve. The punch came too fast to dodge, yet he still remained standing. Dong Kun appeared, his arm-piercing Guz back. He flung him far away. Dong Kun gasped, yelling for him to flee. He urged him to reach the promised place no matter what. Gaen spat insults at his delusion. He rose casually, mocking again. Dong Kun roared and smashed him down, cracking the ground. He looked at Ryujim and then at the gas canisters, whispering, "Sorry, my child." Gon flinched in fear, calling his name. Dong Kun gripped him tight, choosing to sacrifice himself for his child. Moments later, a colossal explosion tore the air apart. Outside, the strange men froze, asking what to do next. Junho shielded Mindali, taking responsibility. The blonde man glanced over, grabbing her hand. He teased her, insisting he'd take care of the girl himself. Junho grit his teeth, realizing how dangerous they were. Dihan was nowhere, and no one could call the police. Junho removed his glasses, deciding to fight for real. He steadied himself, recalling his master's technique. The blonde man pressed on Minjali, getting bolder. Junho shouted, ready to test his strength. He jabbed 2 fingers into the weak acupoints. The man froze instantly, body locked. Before shock settled, Ryuzum appeared. His icy gaze declared they had all been neutralized. He whispered the effect would last only seconds, but Midori screamed in panic. Ryu dashed in and punched the blonde man flying. He urged them to leave immediately. The blonde man trembled, realizing his true identity. He recalled what an elder once said about him. He wondered where the boss was. The warehouse burned in chaotic flames. Embers and rubble fell like rain. Dong Kun lay severely burned, barely alive. Gian sat on him, whining about his ruined outfit. Angering Yujin further, he threw on a coat and walked away, muttering it was time to meet that person. Junho panted, spotting the case of nutrient vials. Ryu sweated heavily, focusing all power. He placed his hands to channel healing Kai into both. Bright energy poured endlessly. Red light filled the room, piercing the wall. Ryu exhaled in relief for not being too late. Midori poured water for Shun. She hesitated, thinking of her friend losing her father. Junho approached, confirming both were safe and they had another urgent reason to go. He froze, seeing a figure at the door. Loud knocking echoed. Midori startled, asking who it was. The doorknob twisted hard, tension rising. Ujin entered with a cold smile. Beside him stood Jihyun and battered Dong Kun. Dong Kun trembled, calling Ujin's name. He clutched his shattered arm, asking why he was betrayed. Ujin said indifferently they had no bonds. Dong Kun froze as old memories flashed. He repeated family unconsciously. Ozian sighed, saying he'd put another family first. The vials weren't only for profit. Yujin asked why he hid the matter about Ryuzium. Dong Kun panicked knowing Yujin was aware. He coldly laughed, realizing everyone hid things and others were involved. Yujin said Unheilai had paid the price and pressed him about his words to Ryuzium. Dong Kun shook, wanting to speak but silent. At last he bowed, accepting silence. Ujin sighed, straightened his coat, and stood. He walked out without looking back. Outside, the president waited. The director led Ryuzum's group, reporting they'd arrived. Ujin calmly calculated how to handle Ryuzung's government ties. The group was taken to a mansion deep in the forest. The president asked Ryuzium if Choi Sul could stay to help. He looked at Shun, sensing her loneliness. Midori worriedly asked if she should stay with Sheen. Shan softly thanked her kindness. She said she needed to learn independence. Now, the director joked that boys and girls living together could be trouble. Ryu replied firmly there was no need to worry. He wore his hat, saying he'd leave for a while. The president was surprised at the sudden decision, but Ryuzo stayed resolute. He promised to return. The director, uneasy, spoke up awkwardly. The president chose to trust his word. He told him to ask if he needed help. Ryuzo bowed silently in gratitude. Both were stunned it was his first bow to them. The president asked where he was going. He recalled Jihyun's words about cleaning up the mess and the order to hide all drug vials from the world. Joenglen noted his body wasn't fully complete. There was a place that could reveal that secret. He asked why the man said it was a debt he must repay, so he departed alone for Bitch Duzen. He thought of Ojin's power and the need to restore himself. Suddenly he stopped, sensing a strange kolkai. Before him loomed a vast dark cave. Despite the dread, he stepped deeper inside. The scene inside stuns Lee. Body identical to him lies there. A drop hits the lake with a cold echo. The surface ripples faintly. He is sure the figure is himself. Maybe Ozan once hinted at this place. He wonders if it's a trap. Liu reaches out but hesitates. He intends to touch the unconscious body, but its eyes snap open. Liu is shocked, speechless. Before he reacts, it attacks and he dodges. He grows more alert at its danger. In the dark cave, the two selves clash. It's force copying his Danquan moves exactly. Liu realizes only one other person knows this art, and the thought sparks. They trade breathless blows at lightning speed. The ground shakes as Liu decides to hold nothing back. He falters, horrified it wields his techniques better than he does. His hand hits the water and freezes instantly. His whole body numbs in ice. He asks what the being truly is. The man steps forward saying they meet again. Liu can't believe the sight. It is the Bing Jianxi frozen warrior. Long ago he viewed him as a master. The man wielded a greatsword, called himself Wu Ming, with strange power. Liuzium once sensed mystery radiating from him. Memory rises of a monstrous bear that devoured many, yet the small man slew it alone. Wu Ming asked his name. Liu answered. He smiled, sensing something in him. Then he taught Liu countless martial skills. Years passed until Liu grew up. Then he vanished without a trace, and Liu didn't search. Since Wu Ming was nameless with no origin, Li never suspected secrets. He never expected they'd meet again now as foes. Li asks why Hez here and what he truly is. He calmly says Liu need not worry, his time flows differently. Liu freezes, thinking of the century gone by. Seeing his fading form, he wonders if his master is human. Wu Ming smiles gently as before. He lifts a hand glowing through light, saying they'll meet again, shocking Liu with his foresight. In memory, that hand once saved a strong man. He recalls them talking under a tree. Strange, since he met that man a century before Liu existed. Wu Ming grows silent, gaze drifting through centuries. Liu bows, sensing his intent. Surprised, he asks for time. He notes Liu hasn't used full strength and asks why he must regain it. Liu kneels, saying it's necessary. He explains the enemy awoke early and stronger. Begging for help again, Wu Ming seems to see an old shadow, saying the past isn't over. He speaks of intertwined fates. A prophecy says one called evil will prevent the world's fall, making him place hope in Liu. Li's heart surges as he's told to rise and receives his trust. Scene shifts to a cold room where Wenhai is tied, trembling at a familiar voice. Ozan enters, complaining he still can't find Liu Zong. He says deeper investigation keeps crossing government forces. Wenhai stammers, asking why, and he says she forgot something crucial. He smirks and mentions spit again. Her memory flashes back to their airport meeting. He had sensed Liu Zong's power traces on her since then. When she reported after the Kui Qiang case, he noticed instantly. Her eyes back then were filled with terror. Now they're the same, making her fear her fate more. The memory of that overwhelming energy returns and numbs her mind. His cold voice crushes her heart as she realizes her memory was manipulated. Ozan leans in, asking where the Liuchuan went, freezing her. The door bursts open as Jixian brings in a corpse, and Ozan orders it placed before him. The corpse hits the floor with a chilling thud. Ozan sits and announces Kui Kong is dead. He continues tormenting the body, black magic swallowing the light. He casually crushes the darkened heart in his hand. The corpse's face spasms as something bulges under the gray skin. Wensi screams, shaking so hard even the chair trembles. She recognizes it as a forbidden spell of legend. Ozan withdraws his hand and wipes it clean like a trivial task. He approaches Wensi. He gently pats her head as if soothing, then suddenly yanks her hair back. He says he needs to prepare a few more things. In a small room, two people sit awkwardly at a table. She apologizes for her reckless actions. He replies kindly, telling her to eat before it gets cold. Seeing the strange food, she asks. He says he didn't cook it. He only knows frying eggs. Jun-ho enters with a big pot, saying he'll handle meals for now. He eyes the dirty dishes with displeasure. He says Liuzium helped them. The man confirms briefly. He asks about the man with glasses but scratches his head as his intent is exposed. Lamenting the burden of another favor, he continues asking about Dai and Yin and what's being hidden, but the man calmly turns away. He tells the kids to go to school and not meddle. While wringing a cloth, Junhao reminds him not to act alone. He quietly says with his master gone, it's best to wait until recovery. More mysterious figures keep interfering. Thinking of them, they realize the enemy's power is terrifying. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a famous actor sits with his girlfriend. Aosin's men break in and restrain him. Pain hits and he collapses instantly. Guendai shakes a vial, threatening to kill him if it happens again, but the fangirl only trembles and asks who he is. He grumbles back as shouting behind him makes him snap in anger. Nearby, an idle girl is pinned on a bed because they forgot to gag her. The men sneer that it ruins their fun. They blame each other for sneaking around yet doing filthy things on sight. The boy is questioned and panics, denying involvement. The man mocks him and clamps his mouth so he can't speak clearly. He warns that his word is truth, squeezing the boy's cheeks. A phone records everything, and the viewer looks pleased. He nods, praising the footage, then points at the girl, accusing the boy as the culprit. Junhao bows his head, despairing over what to do next. The man says casually he just needs to hide for a few months. The next words stun him. The role has been taken from him. He brags the role was meant for someone else anyway. As the elevator closes, the group keeps gossiping. They praise their boss for raising you to the top and eliminating rivals. Jai Huan says he only does what entertains him and ignores boring matters. A subordinate wonders, since Yu is already globally famous, they hear it's still not enough, leaving him stunned. Jihen drags a smoke, saying the plan has only begun as the Lord wants to stand above all. He recalls that smug face and speaks from what he knows. To him it's an exciting game he eagerly awaits. Jae-hong looks around asking who's missing, prompting an immediate reply. They say he already took Wenxi somewhere else. The blonde man yells to hurry because he's hungry, scolding the girl for her attitude. But the woman's mind is filled only with fighting scenes and thoughts of that magic. She wonders if she is merely an empty shell. She once heard magic cast after death reaches its perfect form. She fears hell lock her up and turn her into a soulless corpse like Kui Kwaong. She slows, thinking her life will end meaninglessly. Over the years, she's lost self-respect, living for others' gazes until exhausted. The thought makes Wenx's legs shake, angering him as he shouts what she's doing. His brutal kick reminds her she can't give up. As more yellow butterflies appear, she panics, not understanding, but she's struck by another heavy punch. A mysterious blue light bursts from her hand. She's shocked as clarity returns and she sees a phone screen light up. She grabs the device quickly, her eyes widen to read the message, but he strikes back, knocking her down. Ji-hyun sneers and insults her. His presence makes her tremble as he demands why she touched his underling's phone. Inside, she screams, praying the message was sent in time. The screen shows a text from an unknown number named Yujionu. He wonders who that is. He frowns at the strange single-lane name. He props his chin, guessing if Wenxi sent it since she's never texted like that. He worries it might be a distress signal and debates calling back. Stepping outside, he jolts. Terror hits, recognizing the same number mentioned. It's the number that called earlier. He answers but hears dead silence, heightening his unease. Then Twisted Ladder comes as Ji-hyun asks his location challengingly. He mocks how the man fled pathetically last time. He's certain he didn't call the wrong person, yet the long silence annoys the caller. He can't stand it and yells asking who he is. Ji-hyun replies vaguely that his identity doesn't matter. He says if he wants to save Wenxi, come giving 1 week before hanging up. He scrolls news and jots down notes. He sighs, wondering why Yu Zianu is involved. He suspects she might have been taken by Yu Zianu. He collapses onto the floor, puzzled by the caller. That chilling voice knowing Liu Ziam's name makes him suspect everything is linked. Thinking of the mysterious group, he wonders if they're allied. With no choice, he decides to approach Yu Zianu first despite no leads. A new photo pops up on the screen. He startles, exclaiming in shock. Old articles appear with murky headlines. The lit building is the office of Security's Shield Guards Company. He steps in, sensing the unusually silent atmosphere. Unlike usual, the place seems abandoned after Yu Zianu vanished. Luckily, he recalls the company once guarded him, so he checks the director's office first. Surely the records are still there. He scans the tense hallway and presses the device in his hand. But the piles of files leave him unsure where to start. A loud shout erupts. He shields his eyes from the bright light. He curses and looks at the silhouette ahead, fearing danger, but the voice calls him captain. He lightly scolds that the man always appears when needed. The man jokes about their destined bond, making him sigh and tell him to stop spouting nonsense. And he replies he only came to pick something up. The topic shifts to his younger brother. He says he already knows, otherwise he wouldn't be throwing himself into this. They split up searching for documents, but find nothing, the hall filled only with their murmurs. He finds the name Nan Xiang Wen. It might be just a stage name. Nan Yuan Sayang is likely the real one. Remembering that clueless face, he thinks meeting him will reveal plenty. As a child, he crossed his arms, refusing to talk out of fear, saying he needed therapy afterward. He asks why he thinks they came without reason. He insists they want to free him from that coercion. Consider it helping an old regular Nan Xiang. They need to lure the whole group out, but he shakes in fear of the power behind them, begging nonstop. He confesses they're holding video evidence framing him for a crime. If released, his career is finished. Ji-hyun rubs his face, realizing drawing them out won't be easy, wondering what leverage will make him cooperate. Suddenly, he recalls the article about the woman in the scandal. He asks about Sim, sitting beside him to gauge his reaction. At her name, he trembles, lips twitching from memories. He checks his watch. Deng Ji-hyun grows anxious. The final day of the week has come. He mocks her, asking if she's hoping the guy will come save her. He laughs cruelly that whoever comes will lose his head before her eyes. She fires back, telling him to buzz off. Her defiance excites him more as he compares her to someone he despises. He laments that their group meant to serve Lord Aozin now has half betraying so pathetic. Looking at the screen, he excuses himself to answer a call. He shouts with joy, and his crew asks why. The noisy caller confirms they just saw him. On screen, Nan Xiangwen is live streaming, claiming his role back. Comments flood in, annoying them with overwhelming fan reactions. The trembling teen calls saying he posted the location as ordered and begs that the video not be released. The man replies calmly that if it happens, so be it. Shocking him, he says he's doing it for his lover once committed. He'll see it through and won't regret it. He reassures him they won't release the evidence yet. Ji-hyun grows more aggressive, saying he'll visit him again to stir trouble. A subordinate leisurely reports they've confirmed the target's location. Seeing the teen clutch his head in despair, he knows the fastest one has already been sent. The man suddenly shouts excitedly, asking what Yin Xiang is doing with that guy. The man slowly removes his hood, revealing his face. The other instantly recoils in fear. He complains he came late and made him wait till he nearly slept. Then they confront each other. The foe doubts the true identity of the one posing as Nan Yuan Xiang. He calmly says they're just trash cleaners for Yugen and Gua. He sizes him him up, saying he's only a bodyguard. Anxiety rising knowing Wengxi is in their hands, he's certain they're involved because the message that day wasn't coincidence. The man digs his ear mockingly asking where they hid Nanyue and Xiang. While he worries he can't sense the man's aura, he laughs saying that guy seems to be watching from afar. The teen whispers it's the right man, but the one holding the video is likely higher ranked. He asks to meet their boss, but they scoff at his demand to see the leader. It makes him slightly impatient, but the man beckons him to follow. His smirk hints at something hidden. From afar the teen signals that Henbei has appeared. At the same moment another figure appears behind him, and Alcio vanishes. He glances back sharply in alert. Luzum rushes in to help and he yells at the teen to run fast. The foe forces him to hold his breath in caution, wondering what monster he provoked. Water splashes upward, deepening his sense of danger. Suddenly the figure bursts out of the water. He growls irritably from being drenched. Amid eerie whispers, a nameless voice asks if he wants his power back, but he must pass 3 trials. He looks at the guide in confusion. The man confirms and tells him to follow. The scenery makes him tense. It's familiar. The first trial is an illusion from memory within a vast sea. The man points that he only needs to reach the end of the water valley. He asks if he just needs to walk there. He steps onto the cold surface. Entering the flow, he suddenly freezes. He feels he has been here before. As if memory repeats, a powerful, inexplicable familiarity rises. A half-familiar sense surrounds him. Then forest calls of Chiak re-echo. He startles seeing old comrades asking why he looks dazed and inviting him home for dinner. Familiar sounds pulling him back. Villagers afar carry food, calling warriors to eat and regain strength. Luzum realizes they are the Min tribe. Cheerful and thankful, he freezes seeing everyone alive and safe. Then someone hugs him tightly from behind. The person joyfully calls him home. He is utterly stunned. Outside, the illusion of Luzum forms exactly as expected. This is both his easiest and hardest trial. Sinking into the water, his reason dims and he understands why he couldn't reclaim his power. He had been trapped in old memories unknowingly. Su wonders whether hell yield or break free. He slowly rises if awakened. Luzum walks on, choosing to leave the past and face the present. In another building, 2 men are eating heartily, praising the meal. One sternly asks who allowed him to eat. The other panics and apologizes, then his tea's told to keep eating, and that he'll handle Nanwang Xiang's issues since there's time before filming. That delights him, and the other nods confirming plenty of time. A girl enters saying they still need a backup plan. She means launching the project tied to manager Yujio Nua Simjiang. Jihan snaps irritably but is restrained by the other, has reminded that the 51 billion soldier force belongs to him and his subordinates, even if only experimental. The huge sum makes him tremble, so he rushes off to take the order. The other tells him not to hurry and to finish eating first, but Guyan refuses and leaves immediately. Jaihayan scrolls his phone irritably because the others still haven't contacted him. The phone finally rings, and is instantly scolded for negligence. He excuses himself by saying he has with a young girl. His superior's lip curls in displeasure. The subordinate is kicked into a wall but still acts excited. The voice orders Jin and Sai Wang to come at once instead of wandering around. Hearing that, he rips his shirt in an instant and shifts into a full combat stance without holding back. Facing this bizarre display, he frowns in irritation. A hand smacks hard against his face. He laughs and asks if he still wants his face rearranged. The scene cuts to a secret lab with a central energy core and a man on the test platform. His body is connected to the core amid devices and flashing screens. 2 technicians restrain the man, saying compatibility is 99.2 and the final part is ready. During attachment, veins bulge on his face as he screams in agony. Above, the professor watches with satisfaction as the graph progresses. A glowing holotype assist device appears at his arm joints. Additional support units are attached to his shoulders and arms. His whole body is fitted with a power boost system amplifying strength 100-fold. The man is Mei Shua, who becomes monstrously strong after the graft. Wuxai Wing shudders at the shockwave, suspecting it might be Di Han. In combat, Mei Shua freezes at Di Han's unexpected reaction. His devastating strike is blocked by Di Han's 2 hands as if it were nothing. But inside he sighs in relief, knowing he almost took the full hit without that skill. He recalls searching files with his bodyguard in the old company and having to wipe all traces. They rearrange the books, puzzled about where that one volume came from. Putting it back triggered a hidden compartment to pop open. Shocking them, both stared wide-eyed, unable to believe what was inside. It was a mysterious martial arts manual standing upright in the slot. Back in the present, Dihan bursts with force and knocks Mei Shu away. He lands lightly, eyes gleaming with excitement. Dihan raises his hardened hand, saying the last day of force training was worth it. He unleashes the powerful technique False Boiling Blood Fist. Elsewhere, Ryu Zum is imprisoned in a cold stone cave. A small slit of light from the ceiling shines onto the second trial. A mysterious man touches his shoulder and tells him to just watch. He twists his wrist. Ryu Zum is instantly flung into the air. He looks down, baffled by what's happening. Before him are 3 colossal wall rings encircling a floating natural dead zone sealing the key veins. The man points to the first wall, where gravity and cold combine to freeze entire martial lineages. He describes time inside as heavy and slow, filled with beings adapted to harshness. Beside him is a sword buried deep in the ground, the only weapon to endure with. He grips the hilt and pulls it straight up. The moment he draws it, ice engulfs his hand. The mysterious man notes his heart is steady but his body far too weak. The wall opens, Ryu steps in with the sword, tasked to prove his worth. Each step makes his whole body feel like it's cracking under crushing weight. The biting cold could freeze life in an instant. He faces a surge of massive, ferocious beasts rushing at him like a wave. He grips his sword, weighing whether to fight or flee. He swings the blade through the wind, unwilling to waste time. On the other side, the duel between Dihan and Mei Shu remains intense. Dihan charges it, throwing a straight punch. The blow hits Mei Shu's chin, knocking him back. His abdominal, shoulder, and neck assist systems flare bright. They trigger propulsion, forcing him backward. The two rush each other again. They trade direct blows, each impact exploding violently. Mei Shu admits Dihan's destructive power is formidable. The assist lights on his knees flare, signaling a burst jump strike. He launches up, his speed blurring Dihan's vision. Confident his superior, he sweeps a powerful kick at his opponent's steel body. Dihan blocks in time, intent on ending it fast. Mei Shu brightens, calculating a clean finish. A cracking sound shocks him. He looks at his leg, realizing Dihan secretly targeted his weak point. He laughs, seeing every strike was meant to cripple his legs. He taunts, inviting Dihan to deliver the deciding blow. Dihan tense from nearing his limit. Mei Shu readies a counterstance, arms locked forward. As he lunges, the ground suddenly splits. He panics as Dihan vanishes from sight. A hand presses onto his face from behind. Dihan calmly asks the name of the move he used. He looks straight ahead, channeling red force strong enough to crush a mountainside. Mei Shu glances back, sensing the aura behind him. He twists a punch. Sure, the hit won't defeat him, but his body trembles unnaturally mid-strike. He loses all footing, making his technique useless. Dihan seizes the chance, grabbing and slamming him down. They plunge straight into the water. Mei Shu finally faltering. Dihan smiles in victory, waiting to see who survives. Meanwhile, at a lavish mansion, a man curses that An Swang still hasn't shown, claiming he's the fastest. Hoon wonders about the boss and is warned his mood is full. Wang senses strange movement outside the door. He snaps around, thinking something just passed. His comrades ignore him. Sure, no one dares approach Yuzonga's estate. The scene shifts to Wu Hiai exhausted and tightly bound. A noise outside makes her lift her head. A familiar voice calls to her. She startles, looking toward the door. The person outside reassures her. Teddy is told to relax because help has arrived. Ryo frenziedly slaughters beasts, his torn body regenerating amid the corpses, begs for a power evaluation. Looking up, he asks for guidance on the next step. The ground shakes violently beneath him. He loses all balance. The earth collapses, dropping him downward. He falls out of the forest and into a lake. Sinking, he wonders if this is the final trial. His sword floats on the surface, while elsewhere Dihan breaks Wu Hei's cell lock. He scans the area to ensure they're unseen. Seeing her state, he says being kept underground shows they underestimated her. She yells for him to untee her. He freezes at the sight of tears on her face. She turns away, denying she cried. He moves behind her and unbinds her ropes. He supports her to the door, wanting them both to leave since they're spent. Ji-haen appears blocking the way. Stopping them, Dihan lifts Yun-hee and jumps back to keep distance as he says he wants to assess them. Dihan grits his teeth and curses him. Yun-hee begs him to spare Dihan, startling the man. Ji-haen sighs, then suddenly allows them to leave. He turns away, coldly telling them to go, but a squad of augmented operatives appears behind them, blocking escape. They turn back. He stands in front, claiming he'll clear the path though she doubts him. One attacker rushes in right after his reckless vow. Din Yen's punch sends him flying. Huan and Blondie jump into gang attack, has slammed into a crumbling wall and mocked as he collapses. Jai Hyan gives a cold verdict, while Yun-hai is stunned. Blondie raises a steel pipe to smash him, making her scream in panic. At that moment, a challenge shout rings out. Junhao and Minju burst through the wall. Junhao declares battle. Minju catches Dihan. He asks why they came, getting a casual reply. Junhao says he was nearly exposed at the Han River while tailing him. Two enemies rush in, mocking the boy. He lands a punch, launching both backward. Din Yin is shocked by that strength. Junhao introduces the force-condensed single-strike technique. He recalls Ryuzen teaching he didn't need the full skill set. Ryo advised focusing on the simplest method. He explains channeling all ki force into one blow. Though weak now, it will grow with training, but overuse causes severe pain. So he asks the limit. 3 foes close and the answer is to use it only once or twice. His hand trembles from exhaustion, so he chooses another tactic. He tells Minju to prep a dangerous move. He shouts, opening a secret technique stance. Dinyan curses, clueless about what's coming. Junhao suddenly pulls out pepper spray and blasts their faces. He tosses it aside and yells for everyone to run. The 3 scream, eyes and noses burning. Junha pulls Yun-hei to run first. Jae-hyen sighs helplessly at the chaos. The 4 nearly escape the mansion. They sprint full force, not daring to look back, but the trio recovers and tackles them down. Dinyan rages over being humiliated. The other 2 raise fists to finish them. Jihaen steps in and kicks all 3 flying. They are smashed into a wall. Piled together, Jihaen crouches low, preparing a strike. He launches, diving toward the 3. Dinyan panics, calling for a superior. Jae-hyen unleashes a move wiping out all 3 subordinates. Dihen is stunned, lamenting the wasted investment. he coldly decides to dispose of them since he can recover their components. Finished, Jae-hyun turns back to threaten the four. Ming-ho is speechless. Yun is shocked into silence. Jae-hyun rises into the air to observe them. Despair falls as if everything is over. He focuses power to deliver an annihilating blow. But mid-charge, a familiar voice stops him. A figure appears, telling them to wait. Jae-hyun's punch is caught effortlessly by one hand. It's Ryuseum, declaring he'll end this quickly. He steps back, signaling the finish is here. Jae-hyun stares in terror. Ryuseum punches, sending him flying and lamenting his lost chance. He clenches his fist with overwhelming aura. Jae-hyun can only watch the incoming strike. Has smashed into the wall with a thunderous blast. Dehen is shocked by how short the fight was. Ryo stares ahead silently. Flame ignites amid the dim smoke. Yun-hee panics, knowing he once matched Ryuseum. His silhouette emerges through the thick smoke. A half-burned cigarette drops. Jae-hyun lunges and punches Ryuseum's adamant as time seems to freeze. Ryuseum is hurled far by the blow. The ground cracks open under its force. Jae-hyun smirks, enjoying the power. His past shows he once led a bloodthirsty clan. His sole passion was indulging violent thrills. Though young, his martial skill was unrivaled and unchallenged until he met a masked figure. Jade Lion's invitation stirred his nature. Though lacking special arts, Jade Lion still valued him because his ferocity itself was a weapon. She used forbidden arts to push him past his limits. Since then, she acknowledged him as strong. With modern gear added, his combat power skyrocketed. His punch sends Ryuseum flying again. Jae-hyun mocks him for hiding earlier. He lands, saying the opponent's strength is trivial. Ryuseum raises both hands to block his stump. His heel slams down heavily. Ryuseum grabs one of his legs. Jae-hyun yelps in surprise. Ryuseum throws him forcefully forward. The metal ring on his leg glows bright. He lands stably. Jae-hyun punches Ryuseum's face, scolding him for not grasping the situation. He assaults non-stop, moving like multiple bodies, taunting Ryuseum. Dehen shouts for Ryuseum to target his joints first. A stone flies at him, making him curse. He suspects Ryuseum failed a secret task and worries seeing him stagger. Jae-hyun kicks off a wall, arrogantly asking if he still thinks he can't surpass him. He vows to behead him and kick it for fun. His power erupts as he roars, "Hell, kill them all." An explosion and sparks burst out. Dehen stammers Ryuseum's name, while Yun-hee denies it in shock. Ryuseum suddenly stands behind Jae-hyun. Unharmed, he calmly says he was only gauging the foe. He speaks sternly about the gap between them. Jae-hyun senses the shift, a memory of the third trial, the sword still atop the water. He sinks, breathing heavily. He tells himself to swim again and again to reach it. He stretches out, feeling close to the blade, but an unseen force drags him back endlessly. A voice asks if he plans to keep swimming forever. It reminds him strength alone can't solve it. To take the sword, he must empty his mind. He listens as the voice speaks of stillness, is taught to harmonize with the sword, not seize it. Recloses his eyes to settle his mind. When he opens them, his enlightened the voice checks his understanding. He grasps the hilt. The voice affirms martial way starts from the heart. Back in the present, he extends his hand. An ice blade forming. The voice praises his cold resolve. Jae-hyun panics, sensing the chilling aura. Ryu gently swings, the ice arc brushing the foe's neck. He sees his hand freezing. Terrified, his joints lock. A figure in his mind warns this power isn't solely his. He asks its meaning. The man smiles, fading. He urges acting before the frost dissipates. Jae-hyun collapses, body swallowed by cold shadow. His head already severed. Ryuseum stands still, icy, until exhaustion drops him. The other three rush over. Yun chokes out a sound. Minju retches, unable to bear it. Dehen sighs at the brutal end. Ryu says darkly it could be their fate too if they stray. The sword melts as he finishes. Yun-hee frowns, asking about the black sword that appeared and vanished. Dehen is shocked he saw nothing. He explains it's a sword that exists and doesn't exist. She softly says she's lucky to meet him again, like fate. Turning away to hide her feelings, she wonders why she gets another chance at life. He simply replies it's because he promised. He asks if she has anywhere to return to, leaving her stunned. Before she answers, he carries someone else away, adding that if she has nowhere to go, then follow him. The schoolboy calls after him as he disappears. Dehen quietly checks the corpse's phone and curses. He finds the video and exhales in relief that the mission is done. Junho asks what he's doing. Dehen casually crushes the phone and says to go. The area is empty except for the broken device. A while later, the inspection team arrives. It's Uzien and her assistant. She suspects that person has returned. Uzien confirms and orders preparation. Next morning in the sweltering house, Shine complains while stirring food. She says she only invited him to grade her cooking practice, but too many strangers barged in. Dehen frowns, scolding being turned into a servant for President Dum's daughter. She denies it. Junho boasts is starving after a shower. Inhai reminds him he allowed her to stay. Mingyu asks why Shin is cooking. She brings dishes out, saying she wants to switch to being a chef. She accidentally trips. The pot tilts dangerously. Everyone expects it to spill, but Ryuseum grabs her by the back and steadies the pot. He sighs, telling her to step aside and let him handle it. Junho claps wide-eyed. Impressed by the swordsman's gentleness, Yun-hee tells him to help. The feast is finally set. Shine shyly says it's a multi-day portion, so she cooked it all at once. Some dishes are her first attempts, offered for everyone to try. Junho excitedly urges the group to dig in. Everyone starts tasting. The room falls silent. Junhao can't bear it and cries that it's too salty. The group bursts into laughter. Mingyu teases him for being blunt. Shan scolds his wording, though admits the food is still edible. He argues back, pointing out even Ryuzium set his spoon down and quickly diverts the topic to her culinary ambitions. Shine sadly says cooking is all she knows and her father once loved her dishes. Mingyu jokes about the chairman liking salty food, making her angry. A sudden voice freezes. Shunkoi Jungwon is not dead. Yun Hai explains it's just a corpse used as a vessel for a past summoning forbidden art. Ryu narrows his eyes, hardly believing it. She says all Jade Lion's subordinates are recreated constructs like that, and she herself doesn't know which generation she is. Rumor says Jade Lion is preparing to seize the nation, so they must approach her. She now lives as actress Yu Xianu. The trio Junhao, Shan, and Mingyu are confused about both the past and that actress. Ryu summarizes the truth for them. Yun Hai mutters she can now guess the solution. He decides to reveal everything, though she hesitates. He reassures her it'll be fine. Just then someone arrives. Footsteps echo in the dining room. A mocking voice comments on the crowd. It's the president, arriving with friendly demeanor. In the kitchen while cleaning, Cheyenne asks if she can see her father again if the past buddy story is true. Ming dually tells her to be patient. Outside, the president talks with Ryu and Yun Hai, still finding the events novel-like. Yun Hai sympathizes since it's too much to absorb at once. The president says his political experience keeps him from being too shocked. He adds he investigated on his own and now things are clear. He sincerely tells Ryu to ask for support whenever needed. He smiles with full goodwill, promising to find a way to help. His aide rushes in, panicked, reporting an urgent call from the intelligence chief. The three look at the phone as the president asks what it is. In the media room, chaos erupts over lost contact and info collapse. The central screen shows the president, but it's clearly fake. The imposter is live streaming, declaring a national emergency. The real president is stunned, stammering in shock. Online comments explode, the public in extreme confusion. At the broadcast site, a girl praises the deception. He smugly removes the disguise, saying this is just the start. The mask drops, revealing Ujin's face. The nation immediately shakes from the emergency announcement. Media outlets blast news of the emergency decree, alerts demand order and readiness for severe upheaval. Panicking citizens, online discourse spirals, with rumors of military deployment and sightings of vehicles. On the road, long military convoys rush forward. A soldier shouts to prioritize command system orders and verify later. Unmanned vehicles appear on the streets. Parliament is in turmoil, confirming the nation is falling into crisis. Near dusk, a black car crawls along the street. Inside, Jihyun pushes his glasses in size, doubting the president would do this. Opposite him, Yujin the imposter says the time has come, hinting at helping Kim Kyan seize the presidency. Kim Kyan grins slyly, probing her. He praises Ojin as more suited for politics than entertainment. She offers a polite smile. Yujin puts on a hat, saying she dislikes politics because it ruins image. He agrees. He sips and says entertainment has powerful symbolism. Then he hands him a phone. Kyan frowns after viewing it. Asking if it's real, he says it's staged. He looks out the window, saying that's enough to incite citizens to overthrow the president. The phone screen shows a special The President Spy 1 Hour special. Yujin lowers her hat, ready to leave, saying it won't take long now after helping this far. The man calls out, making her glance back. He asks if the one condition she wants is truly just that. She confirms, then wishes him success as representative. He watches the car disappear into the distance. His aide appears, asking how the negotiation when he says passing a bill is not a hard condition. She asks if the mandate to force vaccine hides anything. He boasts that thanks to organizational backing, everyone thinks is only greedy. Another staffer confirms foreign operations are progressing fine. She says all steps are on track and he praises her. He demands everything stay perfectly smooth to control the nation. The Udom side strains to handle the escalating threat. Dian fumes, shocked a celebrity caused such a crisis. The foreign minister takes a call, reporting back with a grim face. The approval to lift the emergency surprises the president. He exhales in relief when Dian spots breaking news and urges them to watch. He pales at the content. A video accuses the president of causing panic through vague statements. Rumors claim is close to the man in the photo and lend him shelter. Secret meetup photos leak, fueling spy suspicions. The host vows to expose irregularities as promised. Ryuzium analyzes that appearing publicly now would backfire. Someone laments the president is already powerless. Kai Hien leads a chanting crowd demanding immediate removal. They call to protect the nation from today's absurdity. The agitated mob screams for judgment. The speaker thanks them for gathering in such numbers. He introduces an important figure despite the tight schedule. Footsteps approach the stage. It is Ujin, also famous for the role Yu Zianwu. He greets the crowd, saying he's as shocked as they are. He laments that chaotic politics makes truth indistinguishable. He shares his fear of losing freedom in the future. He chokes up, urging unity to protect the country. Guided comments praise him. His aide calls his tearful acting flawless. She sighs, noting how hard he worked to build that glamorous facade. He rises, saying fame is both shield and advantage. One tear outweighs all evidence. Then he laughs smugly. Outside, avenues are clogged with dismissal banners. Furious citizens flood the streets. From above he incites the masses, manipulating their emotions. One word from him brings millions to comply. He boasts this is the new style of warfare, challenging his foes. Suddenly, Ryu charges in from nowhere and lands a direct punch on him. Earlier, the foreign minister sighed that only evidence could break the act, but time was short. He looked at the two presidents and heard there was still a way out. They agree to prioritize public safety. The president declares he's ready to resign to expose the truth. Ryuzum looks down, coldly telling them to wake up. Smoke erupts thickly, throwing the crowd into confusion. Both sides scatter as the ground quakes like an explosion. Dust blankets all as people collapse, clueless about what happened. A scornful voice echoes through the haze. Ojin sneers, mocking that this is all they amount to. Ryuzum's eyes chill, saying someone has wagered the entire game. And Yang asks how hell force a confession at death's edge anyone speaks truth. Ujin scoffs, asking if he plans to kill him before the crowd. Ryuzum's killing intent surges, saying he has nothing left to lose. His firm voice clashes against the others. Bright object flashes too fast to see. An old man glances back, unsure what brushed. Oza raises two fingers, signaling silence. The crowd stares at Ryuzum in fear, then gasps as he warns them to move away. Yujin lifts the mic. He loudly blames everything on Ryuzum, calling him a spy threatening citizens. The mass immediately closes in, turning him into the villain instantly. Ryuzum lifts his gaze, eyes slicing toward him. A burst of light tears through the dust, making everyone turn. Someone shouts what power just appeared as the two clash. Their shockwaves hurl the crowd back, stunning onlookers. Ujin attacks nonstop, but Ryuzum evades. Ryu counters, blasting him away and telling the crowd to clear out to avoid casualties. Ujin raises his hand, firing a freezing flash. He sneers, asking why he should hold back. Ryuzum instantly locates the beam's path as it shoots towards civilians. He dashes in to block it. He tanks the strike, shielding all damage with his arms. Ujin only smirks at the sight. Someone trembles, saying it backfired. Look over there. They think Ujin is protecting them. Ryuzum lifts his head, stating clearly that caring for civilians puts him at a disadvantage. Then he charges forward like a black storm. His kick sends Ujin flying high. Ujin thinks he wants to change the battleground. The fight is streamed live on phones. Elsewhere, Yun-hee and Dian watch nervously. The president signals to begin the plan. Back to the fight. Ujin forms a spell seal. The ground splits as Ryuzum charges in. Their impact crushes the pavement. Ujin screams, urging more speed. They twist around each other in blazing light. Ryuzum draws the black sword, its dark edge glowing. He slashes. Ujin spins to block. The sword's force pushes him back, has blasted through a building, glass shattering. Ryuzum doesn't stop and follows instantly. Another explosive collision warps the building frame. When dust clears, he grabs Ujin's collar and lifts him. Ujin still grins, asking the sword's origin. Ryuzum coldly says it's not even the interesting part. On the big screen, the president reveals the emergency video was fake and shows the original. The crowd reacts as the real footage proves altered. Flashback. Ryuzum suggested creating a counterproof if none existed. The president was shocked but agreed. They chose to use a member's special ability. Ryuzum volunteered to confront Jade Lion Live. Truth appears the fake president was Yu Xianwu. The crowd reels at the stage plot. Ryuzum tightens his grip on Ujin. Ujin pales, shaken and furious. He roars, asking where that fabricated proof came from. Ryuzum calmly says he knows the answer. He adds that any lie collapses before a bigger lie. The public panics, unsure of anything, wishing to go home. Ujin persists, chanting a spell for a brutal strike. He points at the crowd, declaring them his weapon. A vortex of dark energy forms in the sky. He ascends, shouting hell drain everyone's life to kill Ryuzum. Thick black mana surges around him. Ujin clenches his fists, body warping, hair stretching like a beast. Ryuzum watches every change with icy calm. Fully transformed, Ujin laughs arrogantly, challenging him with heaven tier power.